Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's get started. I'm Willem Jiang. I'm from China. I'm a finance OSPO's evangelist, and this is Daniel.
Yeah, I'm come from Spain. I'm CEO of a small company in Spain, working remotely, everyone, a part of a couple of open source foundations as well.
Yeah. Today we will share a topic about understanding cultural difference when approaching open source.
So the thing here is that you may think that what are these two old men kind of talk to us, right? Basically, this is more like even you can consider as a coffee conversation. So we would like to know about your opinions and thoughts after this. You are right in everything except we are not old.
No, we are not old enough.
Or old enough, like these two guys. But it's been more or less this kind of conversations during the last year together. So please stay with us.
Yeah, and our host will pass the speak to. Okay, so the problems we want to solve is like if there are some newcomers to community, they may face some challenge because they come from different region, just like me from China and Daniel from Europe, and yeah, we will share some observations and to see, try to build some, start some open conversations on the culture, to build up cultural sensitivities in open source collaboration.
Yeah, if you think a bit about so if you have realized we are wearing the same T-shirt. So the T-shirt basically is, we bought this in Hanoi in the old quarter. Basically there is a person here with a question mark, and then all of this is traffic in Hanoi. So we both coming from a different place of the world, we both thought, okay, how should we proceed when we are trying to cross in the street, right? So we both thought, well, probably we should follow a local, and then we may cross the street. This worked. The main issue here with open source is that, we learn in Hanoi doing by following people, by checking what others are doing, being kind of part of the society. In open source is way more difficult because you don't have people that are close to you. Every work is basically done in remote. And then all these cultural differences, basically, how should I cross this street, is totally different depending on the country. So that's the point here. How can we understand each other better? How can we be more open-minded? How can we build kind of a radar in our minds that is helping us to be better, when approaching an open source community? And big disclaimer, we are not sociologists, we are not anthropologists. Our background is in computer science.
Yeah, some observations we have, some story we gone through. There's an interesting topic, and I think we can talk for a very long time. As you see, my English name is Willem Jiang, but my Chinese name switched the positions. We put the family name first to show respect of to show the respect of our family. So my Chinese name is Jiang Ning, and Daniel has a similar story.
Yeah. So in my case, Daniel is my name, and then I have two surnames. In Spain, we have the first surname is my father's surname. The second surname is my mother's surname. So you will see that basically Spanish-speaking countries and some Latin countries, they will use two surnames. So this is the main reason. Now, indeed, there's a law in Spain. Basically, you can choose. So, for instance, for my son, we decided that the first surname will be the mother's surname, which is the one giving birth, after all. And then the second surname will be mine. So my son is, in this case, Martin Palma Izquierdo. Izquierdo is my first surname, as you can see here. From a formal perspective, it's not that formal in Spain, perhaps. So then we'll typically call each other by our name. But if you are at university, you are at different places, maybe they are calling you by your first surname or second surname. And you will see your name, perhaps in this more formal way, which is first surname, Izquierdo, then Cortázar, comma, and then the name. So these are some examples of, if I'm going to talk to a Chinese person, should I refer it as Jiang Ning? Yeah. Should I refer as Willem?
Yeah.
How should I go?
Yeah, I think both way is okay, but we need to know there's some difference. Yeah. That is the cultural sensitivity we want to promote.
Perfect. So we'll discuss a bit about our lives, as you can see today. So it's great that you're around, so we can have a conversation. Then we are sharing with you what we can call some tools to learn about all of these cultural differences, and then we'll discuss about specifically the case of open source that is more than just code, as you've seen in this FOSSASIA event. And then at the very end of the conversation is basically how to apply some of these lessons learned into observations in the open source space.
Oh, there's our story. As you may already know, Daniel from Spain and from China. How can we meet? I think we meet through the internet, I think, during the pandemic. But finally, we meet each other last year, and now we spend 3 or 4, or more than 4 days together, and even work out these slides. During our meet, it's like we are trying to know each other, and I think we are sure the common cultures through the food. Yeah, there is a lot of common language we can do, and with the help of the open source, we actually I met Daniel in Chaos project, and introduced me to the inner source commons. Yeah, and recently I just get great news. I'm an official inner source commons member.
Hey, congratulations. Yeah. We first met in Chaos during the pandemic. Basically, we had this discussion at the inner source commons level that we had some Chinese folks coming to the inner source commons, but they kind of left. They stopped contributing. So my question to Willem was, Willem, may I ask you a question? He said, yes, of course. And I said, well, I'm seeing this. Why do you think this is happening? And then this is how all these conversations about perhaps cultural differences, how we are approaching more individualistic way of working, more a collective way of working, how to bridge this cultural thing is part of all of this. And basically we are helping somehow to be onboarded in different communities, more Western, more Chinese, in our different places. So this is great. This is open source.
Yeah, we even have a book club. We will introduce this later. Some book about.
Yeah, and starting with the culture map, this is a great book to learn how you can do business all across basically the world. So the point here is how can you understand if you are being too direct or too indirect to someone? So there is one of the questions and the chapters I love in the book is how late is late? An example here for Spaniards. In Spain, you might be late up to probably 15 minutes with friends, and that's all right. Okay? From a business perspective, probably a few minutes is okay. But then we realize, because we are doing business mainly with the US, that when you are talking with US people, if you are 1 or 2 minutes late, suddenly you receive an email like, "Are you okay? Are we having the meeting?" And this is definitely a cultural difference. So we needed to learn at the very beginning that we have to proceed in this way. Okay, so we become really punctual to the meetings with US people, and this is basically something that depends a lot on the way you think about what being late means for all of us here. So this book is kind of summarizing part of this way of thinking across different cultures.
Oh, okay. I will show my book recommendation. This is from Saul. As you can see, it's tell the foundation of the Chinese society. This book was writing about 18 years ago, and it was written by a very famous psychologist. He wrote it by doing some comparisons between the Western society and more traditional Chinese society. We will get touch of some of the points later.
Last but not least, we wanted to share this research paper I was part of a few years ago on the barriers for contributing at the ASF Foundation, Apache Software Foundation specifically. So quickly said that we found like 88 barriers all across different areas. So if you see about the x-axis here, you can see that there are 3 main areas: process, technical, and social. Okay, and then for these 3 main areas of basically, barriers for contribution, we found that there might be certain levels where people can help with that specific problem, which would be the individual. Then there is the level of the project. So basically, at the level of the PMC or the project level, you can think of how they can help from a process perspective, and then how at the foundation level, at the ASF level, they could change certain things, as for instance, onboarding materials with new videos and so on. So part of the analysis, we surveyed like 700 plus people at the ASF. We interviewed like 20 something. So this paper condensed all of these results. Why is this important? Because from these 88 challenges, we discovered, and this is kind of usual in any case in open source, nothing new here, is that language, gender, and economical status are typical barriers to contributing. But here today we want to build on top of this and say, okay, and then we have what we can call the cultural differences.
In the open source world, is the transparency, build the collaborations, and the freedom to use the distribution of the software, and the end purpose is the spirit of the open source. But there's some challenge, just like time zones can slow down the feedback loop, and the language barriers, we have to admit that. And even there's different cultural expectations. So these are some obstacles we need to overcome.
Indeed, now we are going into a certain discussion here. So if you have any highlight you would like to raise, please raise your hand so we can have a couple of interactions really quick. The first of them we want to share is basically, and this is based on these tools that we just shared, understanding each other. So there are 2 contexts, right? You can see on the left the lower context. You can see on the right the higher context. According to the culture map, basically, societies as the US society, because they were based on immigrants, at some point they all spoke different languages. So what's the problem here? That they need to understand each other. So what do? We need to be really, really clear with the vocabulary, the sentences, and the kind of things that we are trying to express with the person that is in front of us. So a lot in the communication is based basically on using the right words and the right vocabulary. So not leaving, on the air any kind of possibility, right? Being really, really clear when having the conversation.
Yeah, I think in East Asia, that's a different story. We prefer to have a simple word, but sometimes it has a lot of meaning, even with different tones. And as you can see, there's also some body language. And normally we prefer to have a face-to-face talk, so we can sense different things with this high context conversation. And there's also some history relationships will affect how we communicate. So by knowing this, I think that is quite important. What we need to behave in the open source world.
Yes, in this case you can see that our perception here is that basically open source software is more to the left in this case. You need to be really clear. You really need to use the right vocabulary when communicating with others, specifically because you are not talking to someone. So then all this body knowledge or non-verbal way of communicating doesn't exist. So this is open source.
Yeah.
Then we have communication on how to resolve conflicts. Again, according to the culture map, there is this way of communicating, perhaps in open source, because you need to write everything down. You need to be way more direct, way more open, basically. And people need to understand that this is not an aggressive way of communicating. This is the only way you can communicate with people sometimes, at least through mailing lists, through Slack channels, Mattermost, IRC, whatever you are using. And that's something that you need to have in mind when you are, having this discussion. Sometimes there are flames in open source communities that you realize that shouldn't happen because it was just a misunderstanding about the words that you were using. So having a clear understanding that this may happen, it's really helpful.
Yeah, and this could be a more transparent way, but there's some different mind in China or Asian people. It's like we are not want to show our weakness in a public way. But I think if you want to get into the community, especially for the newcomers, please don't hesitate. Please don't be shy. If you don't know anything, you can just ask. Because with the internet, you can choose another name. It will help you, but normally people won't judge you. And if you ask the questions directly, you can get help from the community. Especially, if, I think there's a lot of mentors in the community willing to help you through the whole process.
So from an open source perspective, we think that probably both approaches are used. Sometimes you need to talk to someone in private, just to show some things. Sometimes you need to talk to someone in public, and then ideally you are moving people to simply discuss things in public. Then we have this idea of how to make decisions. Because in open source we are thinking about, we are discussing about making decisions in a more community way, so then we are all equals. Well, there is this concept of meritocracy, so there are probably, around technical leaders. So we have Willem here that is at the board at ISF. But after all, it's all about having a discussion, you and basically all the community members.
I think in Asia, there's because we have a hierarchy system and we are stick to the family. As you can see, if you have a lot of sibling or a big family, you need to have some kind of hierarchy system to keep it running. And I think it's just a common cases we have. But in open source world, it's like a more individual participate and everyone is equal. So we probably need to stick to that part to help you to go to get familiar with the communities and know how to be involved as an individual.
And finally, we have this concept of social currency. That if you think about typically how Europe, US, Canada, and other countries in the Western they work, this is typically task-based. And in open source, this looks like this. So you do things, and then you are recognized, right? So then you are building your personal profile, you are building your public personal profile by doing things, by attending conferences, giving talks, helping people, growing others. So this is it.
Yeah, and in China, we talk about 关系. I'm not sure if you know about that, but it's like we try to build some relationships. But these relationships could relate to a certain kind of people, and the people will introduce to each others. And we also have one concept of the 自己人, one of us. How can you be a one of us? We will show it later. There's a ring-based theories about that. But it looks like there's still some metric system to run, and we think if we want to build the business beside the two part, we can go the same way.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So if you think about these observations or lessons learned from these books, what we can see is that there are a couple of them that are kind of balanced between both sides, and then there are a couple of them that are balanced into this place I am, right? So then the main issue probably is that we are kind of, or perhaps open source foundations and open source projects work in a certain Western way of thinking from that perspective.
Oh, okay. So this brings individualisms and the collective wisdom together. And as you may know, for Chinese people, we have the stories. Always a group of people concrete certain kind of things. It's like we are emphasize more collective wisdom. But there's some interesting things about that. It's like there's just like organizational model of the associations in this book. It's talk about the Western country. It's like a bunch of people stick together by following certain kind of rule, just like a code of conduct of some things. But how the Chinese people collaborate with each other, it's like there's a different model. It's like a ring-based model, and in the center of the ring, it's like individual, and there's a different relationship based on the ring. It's like a ripple you get when you throw a stone into the water. It's came out, and there's some collections together, and it's like we are building the relationships. And it's the meantime, this relationship could relate it to your blood, your region, and it's hard to change. So it's not the task-based trust, but how can we do the business? It's like we need to someone in the middle to do the introductions, to help them to get to know each other, to build the trust. So that is what I always told with Daniel about that. Yeah. So it's different.
Yeah, my feeling here is that I know how to behave here. Willem knows how to behave here and here. I don't know how to behave myself here. So then I was talking to Willem. Willem, I want to learn.
Okay.
What is what I need to do?
Yeah, that's is why we started these conversations and have this presentation.
Yeah, and open source communities, again, we were discussing this is more than just code. So we are thinking about community, we are thinking about meeting people, we are thinking about learning. This is a learning experience. We know each other, right? And the question here is how can we each other a cultural bridge for others? How can we each other to be part of an open source community that is apparently, a bit harder to join for, difference on the language, on the cultural aspects, and other things. And the idea is this thing about not only coding together, but growing together.
Yeah. And I think if we want to know each other, we should mutual respect and help to each other and try to learn with each other. And yeah, that is what I learned from the community, and that is why we built the community, and that is what we want to share in this talk. And also, there's my story about the Apti local community. As you know, Apti Software Foundation has been established for 25 years. So, and but in China we just get in 50 years. And how can we grow the community inside? It's like we have the project that goes through the incubating process. And the people wants to share it, and we have a bunch of people who already work on these projects, and suddenly we get together and to see, we can start a local community and to hold a meetup together. Even we hold the OptiCon Asia for 3 years, and yeah, I'm very proud of that. And in this way, we get connections with the people, local people, and to share the experience with them. And finally, I think we practice some things from the soil. It's like we build the trust through the guanxi we already said in the incubating process. And I think this kind of social currency, and it can be passed, and it can bring us together. And I think this is unique. It's not unique in the Chinese, but I think it's a common practice in global. And I think Daniel can share his story.
Specifically at the Inner Source Commons, this is a community of businesses, and then the main interest is purely business. We can say we are not producing code, which is quite interesting, but we are working in the open, so we are producing knowledge about how we can work. Inner source is about bringing the open source way within the walls of the organization, and how we can produce software in a more collaborative way, with the goal of basically break down silos, so then you are not producing in different geographical locations once and again similar pieces of code. So that's a lot of money. So from the inner source commons perspective, there are a couple of things that differ from the usual open source communities. One of them is, hey, we are running under Chatham House rule. So Chatham House rule is the only rule we have, and it says that you can use the information for your own purposes. You cannot affiliate that information to either a company or an individual. So basically, we are creating a safe environment to collaborative share basically our experiences, pain points, failures as well, or successes all across the industry. So then the knowledge we create is open, as in open source, is Creative Commons buy or share alike, depending on what we are producing. And now we have many local communities. So the community now is growing, and now we are starting to face the cultural differences sometimes.
Yeah, I think we will have just like in meetings in China.
Yeah, probably at the end of September approx. That's something the date is still to be said. Like, yeah, it's gonna run around those dates.
I'd be happy to help with that.
Thank you.
To summarize, there are several open source principles, and I think it's also for the social currency.
Yeah, so this is about, we have 5 minutes, we were said. So it's all about how can we encourage others to have kind of a radar for this kind of misunderstanding. So my suggestion would be, if you feel that there has been some misunderstanding, you are kind of starting to have that radar. So, try to be patient, open mind, talk to others, share your fears, share your knowledge, smile. It's all about talking about people.
Yeah. It's really a great practice we can use. Just keep communications and build the kind of sensitivities. And once you realize there's a difference and respect those differences, you will get it running.
Now we have this discussion about the leadership in open source. So you first.
There's some of the observations. It's like if there's a open source project that's start from China and a lot of Chinese, they will feel comfortable to join us. So I'm still thinking if there's some language barriers or some things, but it's like there's still some culture related things in that part. It's like we have some connections already, so it's real easier for us to get touch with the people. But
yeah, in a more Western project, specifically at the Inner Source Commons, we had that issue of how can we keep them engaged? So what can I do as part of the community to help them to be engaged? Because they are interested in inner source, but then at the same time, from the community perspective, we are failing into building those bridges, right? So then, how can we proceed?
Yeah, and that's why I meet Daniels, and he showed his warmness, and he helped us as holding Zoom meet in Asia Pacific friend time, and then we have a lot of conversations, and now we are become friends.
Yeah, we have this discussion as well about the personal career. How to move forward, team mentorship.
Yeah. And in China, it's like we are not quite introduced to the more individual things, and it's really hard for random people to get the trust. And just as we showed for the open source community, it's more like you do the task and show your work publicly, and then you can get trust from others. But in China, we almost wants to build some connection relationship map that that's different, and but sometimes we can combine them together, and it's like we can find multiple tools to use, and then with the help of Daniel, if he wants to spare the business, he may also wants to get get more connections with the people in China.
And then, so open source, I would say, is bringing a great mitigation strategy here, which is the participation in the open. So you are able, we have 2 minutes, we are able to, show value by contributing in the open, and then you can see that all of this is a public record. So we go back to this discussion of the public profile.
You want?
Oh, I go first? Okay, sure. No, please go to the next one.
Okay.
So the discussion about here is quite interesting, because one of the problems that we were facing at the Inner Source Commons, not at the Inner Source Commons, me personally, is that I didn't know what is the right communication channel I should be using, specifically with Chinese. So last year I was invited by the OpenEuler Phuc to give a talk at the OpenEuler Summit, and then I realized that basically everyone was using WeChat. So by having WeChat in my mobile phone, suddenly I had a full open door to everyone there and have kind of an instant communication, and that was great. My question is, why?
Yeah, that's certain areas has a certain kind of rules, and so you can understand it, and but we also can move forward because we also try to encourage more newcomers and try to influence the more projects to use the email or others to have the more public discussions. So, but there's a difference. It's better if we can understand each other and try to embrace. And in this way, we can work together and to build a more great future.
Yeah. So yeah, after all, this is all about embracing cultural differences, and we hope that this conversation between two men, coffee discussion, was useful for you, as it has been useful for us. So thank you all for your time.
So, yeah, I'm opening this session. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. It's Code Without Barriers, Fostering Inclusivity and Innovation in Tech. This is our topic for this panel. It's an honor to welcome you to this pivotal session of the FOSSASIA Summit. As we gather in the spirit of collaboration and innovation, it's essential to reflect on the foundation upon which FOSSASIA stands. Our vision has always been to champion the power of free and open source software. Well, that's what it stands for, right? FOSS. Free and open source software in Asia. It's a tool for innovation, education, and social change. At the heart of FOSSASIA is our commitment to building an open, inclusive tech community. A community where diverse voices aren't just heard, but are integral to our collective journey towards technological advancements. So this panel here today aligns with the values of FOSSASIA and with Code Without Barriers. But not only discussing, we are here today, the importance of inclusivity and diversity in tech, but also showcasing how these principles are instrumental in driving creativity, problem solving, and innovation. Our distinguished panelists, with their diverse backgrounds and expertise, will explore how we can collectively work towards a more inclusive and innovative future in tech. And now you're asking yourself, who are our panelists? You can see them here in front of us and also in the background. I would like to introduce them. We have Ms. Nguyen Lan An here on the right hand side. Hello. Yeah, please welcome her. Then we have Ms. Saranya Sriram here from India. Hello. And we have Mr. Toan Wang. You will correct me in a moment. Welcome here. So my name is Behling, and I would like to tell you a little bit about the background of our panelists at first. So Ms. Nhaup Lan An is the Chief Technology and Operations Officer at Standard Chartered Bank Vietnam, and she holds this position since December 2022. In her role, Lan An is responsible for overseeing the bank's transformation technology and operations. Her domain spans various critical areas, including corporate institutions and commercial operations, consumer, private, and business banking operations, operations resilience, and financial crime surveillance operations, alongside information and cybersecurity. So a lot of different areas are in her responsibility, a very impressive background. With an impressive career spanning over 22 years, Lan An has amassed extensive experience in the financial services and banking sector with multiple multinational organizations. So, yeah, very good background here. We're very eager to hear in a moment about your ideas, how we can bring inclusivity forward. Then we have Ms. Saranya Sriram. Saranya is the lead for Asia Cosmos DB Microsoft, and she stands at the forefront of cloud innovation as the principal product lead for Asia Cosmos DB at Microsoft. Based in Singapore, she orchestrates the development of Microsoft's cutting-edge globally distributed database service, ensuring its pivotal role in Asia Microsoft's cloud platform. Saranya's journey at Microsoft began with her leading the Asia Cloud Solution Architect team, where she tackled technical challenges and spearheaded projects across APAC, enhancing cloud infrastructure, security, and IoT deployments. Educationally, Saranya boasts a dual degree in computer science engineering and physics from BITS Pilani, India, with research in quantum computing, definitely a future field as well. And she holds an executive MBA from the University of Chicago Booth Schools of Business, graduating with a high honors. And what I find very interesting is you are fluent in English, Hindi, Kannada, and Tamil, so quite a number of different languages. And yeah, last but not least, Mr. Duan Nyo Wang is a senior engineering manager at Nasdaq. Duan Nyo Wang has made a significant mark at Nasdaq over his tenure, renowned for fostering a culture of mutual learning and growth. His journey at Nasdaq, spanning nearly a decade, showcases his evolution from focusing on technical prowess to embracing and teaching soft skills, team management, cultivating a strong team ethos. And his career began at Vietnam Airlines as a software engineer, after graduating from the Military Technical Academy with a degree in information technology. So, a very technical background as well, and I think now we have an idea who's here on stage and would like to hear some answers about inclusivity from the panelists, and of course about code for barriers. Yeah. Code without barriers, natürlich. No more codes. Yeah, as we are here in Vietnam, and yeah, I'm not Vietnamese, but I would like to respect the tradition. I would like to invite first Saranya, you to share about Code Without Barriers. It's an initiative that exists already for a while, but I don't know if everyone knows about Code Without Barriers. What is it? What's the idea of Code Without Barriers?
Sure. Thanks, Mario. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you here. Microsoft, along with multiple partners, communities, started Code Without Barriers specifically to reduce the gender gap in technology. In our side of the world, it is primarily women, getting more women into tech space. That could be coding development, could be networking, just could be tech enthusiasts, could be understanding and creating a thriving environment for technology. So for the last, I guess, over 2-3 years, Code Without Barriers has been functioning across ASEAN, across Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. And I would say I've just got these stats and numbers just so that I don't get it wrong. But we've engaged, for example, in 750K of developers, about 11,000 individuals who have been skilled in AI, on cloud in general, public cloud. Hackathons, about 1,300 plus hackathons were conducted across. About 800 people were certified with certifications, 144 jobs that were posted, about 134 mentees. Like there is a mentorship program as well as a component to it. And ultimately they also wanted to build some small things, could be products, could be solutions, could be ideas, about 128 ideas. Multiple companies stood up as mentors, so there was MOUs and intent signed with companies that could include being mentors, could be include taking internships and jobs, etc. So it's really a meetup or a conglomerate across ASEAN. And I just wanted to close here to say that this year we announced this to expand to India, to Australia, New Zealand as well. In Slash data, we did see about 30% overall women engagement in the last 1 year. Definitely part of that contribution I think we can personally take on Code Without Barriers. But in general, I guess the awareness and the ecosystem is very, very pure in terms of the intentions that we are driving, and we are seeing results as well.
Thank you. And where was it originally started, Code Without Barriers?
So a couple of women in Microsoft Singapore, I should say Annie, Sindhu, Sindhura, a couple of women came up with this idea to say, why don't we start this community engagement? Started as a small meetup, and then someone came up and said, why don't we do mentorship? Someone came up and said, hey, I'm technical enough, I want to run a hackathon. So it was actually a community-led brainstorming. And as these things came up, one very clear gap that was found is, well, all of this is great, but you actually want to see results. And by results, you want to help students, you want to help people, women, for example, in their journey for return. For example, women who have taken a break in career because of family, because of their children, etc. They want to come back to technology. Technology has changed vastly in the last 3-4 years. Where do they start? How do they build the right skills? So ability to have mentors, mentorship, ability to have internships, and actually have partners as customers or fellow Code Without Barriers, such as say Standard Chartered Bank or other companies out there, to say, hey, we will support this initiative, we'll be a part of this initiative, we'll make this our common initiative. So, you know, it's Microsoft genericized, but now I would say it's more strongly community-led workforce, trying to bring more jobs to women, trying to bridge the gender gaps, and also men to support this as well, right? Like you're here and you're here as well.
Okay, so I have later on some more questions to you. How could you get all this support and expand? But we are here and we're already seeing what you achieved. So you are getting more and more partners on board, not just in Singapore, where you originally started, you expanded to more countries, and you're expanding more and more in Vietnam. And we have you as a representative of Standard Chartered Bank Vietnam here. What is the status? So you're on board with Code Without Barriers. And yeah, what is your idea about it? What are your goals? And of course, I want to know what convinced you. Yeah, how could you yeah, learn about it and like be convinced so fast? So maybe you could share a bit, Lanan.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So in Standard Chartered Bank, as you know, Mario and Saranya just mentioned, we just signed the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding with Microsoft in early March, where we really committed to be a partner of with Microsoft for the Code Without Barriers programs. And the reason why we have decided to participate into the program is because we are really excited. And we see the program's structure, which includes mentorship, hackathons, and also contribution to the community is really aligned with Standard Chartered Bank strategy for diversity and inclusion. Actually, in Standard Chartered Bank, we really focus on embracing a culture of diversity inclusion. And we have focused on 5 key pillars. The first one is gender equality. The second one is in terms of nationality and ethnicity. And also we focus on sexual orientation as well as generation and also disability. So when we was, sharing we would share and we discussed with Microsoft for the Code Without Barrier programs, we are really impressed of the approach of the program and how we can having the structures to contribute to the community and build up stronger communities in terms of technology. And it really helps to upskill the people within Standard Chartered Bank and also contributions to the community as well, so that we can have kind of ecosystem, a strong ecosystem, and being more embrace our knowledge in the technology fast changing world. So that's the reason why we have decided to join the program, because it's really tally with all the internal and external activities that Standard Chartered Bank is doing for diversity and inclusion.
May I know, I think Vietnam is quite at the forefront in the world. Like when I see how active women are, how many women study in technology and finance, and like domains that in other countries are dominated by males. How is it in the companies? How is it, for example, in your bank? What's the status of women there? How many women are in leadership position? Could you give us an idea about that?
Yes, so in Standard Chartered Bank Vietnam, we are having right now around 70% of women in the organization. And we really focus on gender equality across different positions from different levels, and even country management and senior management. Right now, we are having 54% of women in the country management team, executive committee, and around 41% of women in the senior positions. So people agenda of Standard Chartered Bank also focus on that we can embrace gender equality in the organization, and we can really support people regardless of genders and generations to be accessed to the leadership opportunities and promotion opportunities. And just to share with you that last year we have received a certificate from the LEAD Foundations for the equality, diversity, and also gender equality for Standard Chartered Bank. And we try to treat every employees equally. We even introduced the paternity leaves for our male colleagues as well last year, where even if our male colleagues having a new child, having a child and also adopt a child, they can also having 20 weeks of paternity leave. Equally to female colleagues in the bank.
Okay, that's very interesting, because I can see how this program could actually work in different directions, how different companies and countries could help each other to achieve more equality and inclusivity in different areas. Yeah, we'll definitely come back to this point. We want to learn more from you about that, but we also want to hear from Toan, because I think that might be part of the secret sauce, that you engage the men, for example, to support inclusivity. You're trying to get that on board. And I like that approach, because I know approach sometimes the Western countries is very against, yeah, or you're not this, yeah, like where people are more confrontational. And I really want to learn more about this, and also then later when I'm in Germany again, maybe I can share about this, yeah, I have the opportunities. So, Toan, NASDAQ is known for its culture of learning and growth. So how does this program now, Code Without Barriers, plug into this, and how can you benefit? What do you hope to achieve with this? Maybe you start by sharing a bit about your culture and how the whole background, Code Without Barriers. How did it all start with you?
Yes, it was a question about NASDAQ. From my view, women remain underrepresented in technical sector. So NASDAQ have a strong commit to help to resolve this issue. I mean, Nowadays, there are only 1 in 5 employees is female working on in the technical sector now. For Vietnam, I think according to the International Labour Organization, there are only 37% employees is female. So for NASDAQ, we organize a lot of events, and we have Dev Cafe. Sorry, we include a lot of people who have the same passion in the programming. And each year we collaborate with Microsoft to organize a lot of hackathon events, such as .NET.com, Global Answer, and Women in Tech. Yeah, and I think we have aligned with the Microsoft passion in develop community, especially for women. Yeah.
And personally, like, how did you become part of the program? What is your story? How do you think you can support inclusivity in your company and support more women? I mean, 37%, it might sound not so high, but actually other countries have low percentage. So it sounds to me you're on the right track. So how are you doing it, and what do you plan as your next steps to get more women into also leadership positions, for example?
Yes, from my perspective, I think there are a lot of challenge with the women in tech sector. For example, firstly is about unequal salary and salary, because in Vietnam there are a lot of company even don't want to pay don't want to increase salary for people who are on maternity leave, because they don't have a contribution why. But in the NASDAQ we don't do that. Yeah, and for work-life balance, we support a flexible working model. Yeah, to allow our women can have more time to take care their responsibility, to take care of their child or family. Yeah. And yes, I think that's I think if we work, can work together, I think we can build a environment where the woman can be equal opportunity to growth in tech sector.
Okay, so we have established that we need to change something, and we have taken steps to go in this direction. Of course, now the audience would like to know what is practically done. Practical, yeah. I mean, you said hackathons and so on, yeah. We all know hackathons. We actually just had a hackathon ceremony here a few minutes ago. How do you do this practically? How do you get more women on board? How do you organize? How do you do this with mentorship? There are many organizations, they have mentorship programs. What do you do specifically to enhance this also for women and also for men to change the mindset? Yeah, I think you mentioned that some time ago to me that you want to engage the men. So, sorry, quite a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions. Yeah, please feel free to dive in.
I'll start, then others can add on. So, the way we think about it, at least we try to break it into 3 pieces. The first piece is just creating the love and passion for technology. That was pivotal, and the pace at which technology is moving. Like today you use the word AI, everybody is interested. And then you use security, privacy, ethics, these are buzzwords across, right? So creating that excitement in technology among students, amongst working professionals, among people from other industries, oil and gas, energy, media, you know, be it whatever industry, that's the first part of the puzzle. And to be honest, across men and women, just the technology, urgency, awareness, you could use what we want, right? The second part of the puzzle was specifically understanding that there are biases in our environment just because of the involvement of men being more than women. So trying to get women to feel more confident, to feel like the whole soft skills piece of saying that, hey, I am worth it, I can come and do more, I can sit and learn, etc., right? So that the part of that means that what can I do more? What can I learn? That's why they start exploring to say, do I want to do coding and hands-on? Do I want to be technology enthusiast? Do I want to be technology evangelist? Do I want to be technology community person? So you can actually pick up that level of technology where you feel comfortable to meet your aspirations. So that was the second bucket in video. The third bucket is actually the ones that I told you is making it very real. By real, we said 4 tracks. We will do mentorship, so create mentors and mentees. Mentors need not be from Microsoft, they should be from Nasdaq, they should be from SCB, should be from all our partners out there volunteering to be mentors across men and women who feel comfortable to mentor women, for example. The second part of it is hackathons, which we have done. That is the community engagement. Pick up ideas, whatever topics. We used to have hackathon on AI. We could have hackathon on, say, distributed computing. We could have hackathons on the maximum sustainability and change we want in the environment, things like that, right? So coming up with ideas on hackathon. So mentorship, hackathon. The third part was certifications. So in this case, given that it was Microsoft-led and initiated, we try to bring in a lot of OpenAI, AI certifications, cloud, which is Azure fundamental certifications, all of them like the free certs that's available and trying to get into that. So that was the third. The fourth is internship and placement. That's the making real part. Internship and placements again works with our partners by signing MOUs, MOIs, with partners. We try to work with them to say, are you interested to get people who have these combinations of certifications with this hackathon, winner of hackathon maybe, to be placed in an internship or a job. So yeah.
What kind of partners do you have already? Do you have any numbers? Is it like smaller companies also, or you focus on the main Microsoft partners? I mean, like Microsoft has so many partners in the world, right? I mean, and you cannot connect to everyone immediately. You have to go step by step, but you're advancing so fast.
Yeah.
Do you have any information?
So last year, so we keep signing MOUs at yearly basis as part of CWB, sometimes more than 1 year as well. But last year the numbers are like 38 partners. By partners means companies, other companies who are willing to come and support. About 31 OSS communities. So they are also partners, should be like FOSSASIA is one of our CWB partners. So that's that. And then secured internships is about, say, 30 individuals were able to create internship job postings, opportunities, and landing. About 65 mentors as well. So it's, I wouldn't say it's a great outcome, but at the time it's a very non-trivial and a real impact that we are inching forward. But now is the time for us to speak more, get the community more engaged, and for us to participate together to leapfrog. Yeah.
And so now let's hear from your partners. Lanan, you have already talked about some ideas. What you can do is first steps. Could you fill us in? You mentioned hackathons. What specific plans are there for you to participate in Code Without Barriers?
Yes, because we, as I said, we are the partner of with Microsoft for the Code Without Barriers program. So we also have been sharing the hackathons program, which is rolled out by Microsoft. So for Standard Bank, we're also interested to participate in the hackathon, where we can contribute as in our field. We can contribute to give a statement, a problem statements. And then it is kind of a business case which the participants can look into and can look for solutions to solve the problems. Even in Standard Chartered Bank, we also focus on upskilling and training to our employees as well. Although we are not a technology firm, however, we are also operating in a fast-growing business context where the development of the technology and advanced technology is really fast-changing. So we really want to focus to becoming an organization where we can have the sustainable growth and a future-ready organization. So we having internally we have the trainings for our bank's employees as well, focusing on digital and data, not only on banking products, but also on innovation, data and digital. And with participation into the Code Without Barriers program of Microsoft, we also look for the opportunities where we can learn from the communities and have the trainings from Microsoft and from the program so that we can benefit for our employees as well. And in return, we also can provide the mentorship and the coaching to the people in the community because we can give a business perspective and the business lens to the people in the community as well. And also in Standard Chartered Bank, although we don't have something like Hackathon because we are not a technology firm, however, we also having some other programs like Launchpads, where we also have different ideas and different initiatives which the employees of the bank can look into and having consideration and analysis to see what would be the solution for those items as well, which is really tally with also the external activities which we also interested to join in with Microsoft for Code Without Barriers program.
And, yeah, I mean, very impressive. And let's hear from our other partner. Toan, here it is like we talk about inclusivity and diversity, yeah, and it's often the topic that stands like in the room and stands in front, but I think it can also have some advantages. I mean, not just some, it actually has huge advantages, yeah. And my question to you is, because your company is known for innovative solutions and for fostering innovation, so how do you think like inclusivity can foster innovation? How does it help you in your company? Like you get women on board, you do programs that you mentioned, you do mentorship. How can it help a company? How can it advance a company as well? Do you have any story to share or any information to share? That would be interesting.
Yes, at Nasdaq we have a program called Rookie program. In this program, we provide free training for to be graduated student for 3 months, total free. And each year we have about 200 students graduate from the program. And we also a partner with Microsoft, so we collaborate with Microsoft to organize a lot of hackathon. In the last year, we organized a hackathon, and in the hackathon, we use a service of Microsoft, OpenAI, as OpenAI, to build AI solution. And one of the idea is selected and now is invested by a group. So from my view, I think collaborate with Microsoft and our FOSS to build a community is a very important for us. We also have a membership, membership program. Employee can be mentor new employer, newcomer, and answer question and provide guidance on navigating in tech industry. So yeah.
So would that be something for you? You mentioned they have a program in their company, like Does this inspire you? Yeah, are you thinking about something like that? Yeah, like, what do you think? Like a program to enhance, and of course the question is, you're getting on board now with CWB. Do you think like it could help you also to advance, be like innovative? I mean, you are innovative, but there's always room, right? We always need to constantly innovate more. So, any ideas already?
Yes, so actually innovation and transformation is always a key focus, I think, of any organization. Not only an organization and a bank like Standard Chartered Bank, because we having a lot of advanced technologies, in the recent business context, and even our clients are also having increasing demands, and they are also very digital savvy. So as a bank, of course, we need to rely on our core strengths, which is, the governance and the control. But we also need to ensure the digital values for our clients. So we really focus on innovation and transformation. In Standard Bank, as I shared earlier, we have been having the regular kind of the challenge competition within the bank to see what would be the initiatives we can do to continue to improve the way we work. And apart from that, we're also having kind of regular improvement habits within operations in Standard Chartered Bank, where we set out 1 hour every week for all the teams to discuss on their current process and the current offerings to the clients to see is there any opportunity for the change? Is there any initiative to simplify and better service to our clients? And we also adopt the new ways of working and to ensure that we are really an agile organization. We're having adopted a concept called A3, which we, why we choose it at A3, because it is just like an A3 size, where we determine what is the problem statement, what is the current state, and what is the desired state we want to do, and what would be the action plan. So we really embed the agility, the innovative, and innovation in the ways we work. And it can be in very different forms. It can be new products or new service offering to the clients, but sometimes it can be a very minor change in the process, which really impacts effectively to our client experience and even to our team productivity as well. So I do hope that with the joining with Microsoft for the Code Without Barriers programs, we also benefit ourselves from the skills and the training which the programs can bring over to the employees of the bank, so that we can continuously upskill ourselves and learn new technologies and knowledge to keep us in alignment with the change in the context of very new advanced technologies, which is keeping at a very fast changing pace. Yeah.
So, Lan, your background, you told me, is actually more in finance, but you are now the Chief Technology and Operations Officer. So I think you're definitely a role model, because you show as a role model like it's possible to learn more and more about technology, get into the future, like technology topics, and and that is definitely impressive. And Saranya, you're also a role model. You already studied physics and computer science, yeah, two degrees on top of all the languages that you speak. So how important is it to have role models in the community, and how can we identify and foster role models? How can we spread the word about like key women in tech? I remember there was this initiative that people said like, okay, actually there are a lot of women in science, even like in the 18th, 19th century. And people say, okay, we need initiatives to also share about them, because often only the men's stories are shared. Or sometimes there was a couple and actually the woman was behind the science and so on, because in the old times they weren't allowed to be a public figure. Yeah, but this drive to more equality and inclusivity, we need to continue it. Yeah, so we need role models, I think. But what do you think? How can we move forward?
So I think, interest of time as well, to kind of just make it real and wrap it up here. From my sense, I think identifying role models need to be a very personal endeavor. people need to pick role models that actually work for them. Sometimes people say my mother is a role model, my daughter is my role model, you know, things like that. So role models should be something that brings the best out of you. In a way, 2 steps on that. One is feeling empowered or feeling comfortable to learn technology. I'll always bring it back to learning. Sometimes what happens to women is it's just the phobia, or you feel like, oh my God, I probably cannot, or I do not know how to learn that. And that's where CWB or these kinds of communities will help to actually just help each other to feel more confident. And once you have the confidence, it's really just making it happen. And so I would say 1 is role models. The 2 is just build your friendships, connections, and communities. You all are here, multiple students, multiple working professionals. So use this time. And CWB page is there on LinkedIn as well. So please feel free to join the community and connect to network. And then we all are there to help you as well.
And Toan, talking about role models, yeah, I'm asking myself, can we as men, can we also be role models? Can we be role models that foster inclusivity? What can we do? How can we be role models? To show also the younger generation you can support women, and you can support equality, inclusivity. What do you think? How can we be role models as well?
Yes, I think role model is very important. I think role model is one of our key characteristics in our culture. From my view, role model is all about futures. I mean, if your action align with your word, it means that your member or the team member will follow you and will believe you, and I think that's the key for all the action, not just in tech industry. I think role model is very important. And for our culture, I mean the Nasdaq culture, we always one employee in own level have a role model characteristics. Yeah.
I guess equality is what he's saying. Treat. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm glad we are aligned on that. And I think there are so many questions I have, but time is limited. We're coming to the end, and I would like to ask you about a closing statement. Closing statement could be like, what do you recommend to other companies, other organizations? What do you recommend to other countries? Because, for example, you have already achieved a remarkable equality in your company, but of course we know it's never finished. It's an ongoing process. So what are your recommendations maybe also for the young people who join companies? Maybe not every company can be part of CWB, but how could they make, for example, a small program inside the company? So these kind of questions, I'd love to hear in your closing statement, anything in this regard. Lanan.
Okay, maybe I come first. So actually, I just sharing from my experience. I think the job satisfaction, normally when we can have that, is we can feel that we can add value to an organization. So whenever I take on a new job, I see it is important that I can really feel proud when I'm leaving that job. And I can say that I have really changed the team, or really give a better momentum to the team and to the job compared to the time when I took over that job. So I think that's key. So another thing I want to share, because I think several of the audience here are the students, just believe in yourself and try to expose yourself to different aspects and different knowledge. And technology is important, because technology is right now like a foreign language. It is a skill set required in this era of technology. So please equip yourself with all the necessary skills, foreign language, technology, apart from the apart from the major which you are focused on in your university, and be brave to also expose yourself, not restricted to Vietnam. If you can be mobile, you can come to other cities within Vietnam or even to the foreign countries, and always have an open mindset for impacting into the journey. So certainly you will make the success along the way. Yeah.
Well said. I'll probably echo the same things. Just make it very short. Be very curious. Focus on learning. That is key. Focus on persistence and consistency. And also, specifically both men and women, try to create a good sense of equality around you. Join communities, learn friendships, and eventually I think as you start learning things, you will figure out what your passionate areas are. Join CWB, Code Without Barriers LinkedIn page, and you will see a like-minded community for technology for all of you out there. The group is open for men and women, yeah?
Just one thing from me, just the proactive to join community like FOSS or something like that. That is it.
I also want to have a closing statement. So actually, I'm happy that we're part of CWB with FOSSASIA, and it perfectly fits in. I mean, like we ran Jugaad Fest, a hack and tech event to do hands-on Jugaad, hands-on hacks in Hyderabad at BVRIT, the Women's College. And all the guys in our communities, they showed up, and it was open for the day, and supported the women. And over the last few years, because there was COVID and everything, we couldn't do it afterwards. Again, we saw a lot of projects coming out from women. We see that online and so on. So I want to take a tiny bit of credit for this from the stories that I hear. And I know, for example, other people in our community, they were giving workshops in another place in Shenzhen, in China. So I hope that by this panel, and by also giving space here at the FOSSASIA Summit to this panel, to this topic, we encourage more and more communities and organizations to do this, and this is my wish. I want the personal level, I want everyone to engage, but I also want the communities to engage and see this more and see less confrontation, like you have this gender, or you have this pronoun, or you know, don't call me like this, or don't go to this bathroom. I want people to come together, collaborate, and learn something, because the problems in this world are big. Climate change, a lot of problems, and we have to solve it. So we need the women, we need 100% of the global population to solve the problems, and I believe we can do it with tech. So you inspired me. Let's find more role models. Everyone should be a role model. And thank you very much for this inspiring panel. I hope we can continue it soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
providing us a chance on FOSSASIA as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, big round of applause for everyone here. Thank you.
Cool. Looks like we're ready to go. Thank you. Thank you very much to the FOSSASIA organisers for the invitation to talk again. I think this is about my 4th event, so it's a really exciting experience being part of FOSSASIA, and my first time in Vietnam as well. So it was great to see lots of students as well. It reminds me of a very long time ago when I was a student. This talk is a slightly strange one. Normally I spend quite a lot of time talking in depth about 1 or 2 technologies. So this is a bit of a new concept for a talk. I thought, well, I don't have any new technology to talk about. What if I talk about all of the technologies that I've used in the last 7 years? So that's the background to the talk. So whether it works or not in 30 minutes in particular is something we'll find out, and I'll start my timer now. So yes, definitely in the Netherlands, when I was there a few years ago, there are 30-minute bike parks. I don't know whether that's a thing in Vietnam or not. here are most of the technologies that I'm going to be talking about. Actually, not all of them. There's a few I decided not to include, but about sort of 90% of those are the ones that I will be talking about. What do they have in common? Well, first of all, I work for Instacluster. It's a company that was bought recently by another company called NetApp. I've worked as the technology evangelist for Instacluster for about 7 years now. And we started out by providing a managed Cassandra service. And over the last 7 years, we've added a few more, including Postgres, Redis, Kafka, OpenSearch, and Cadence. So I'll be talking about those and more technologies as well. So the 30 that I'm going to talk about are complementary and can be used together. And in fact, I have used them all over the last 7 years, building realistic demonstration applications which do something interesting and more or less work most of the time, which gives me something to talk about at conferences. Some people might recognize this particular creature. It's a strange toy that I found recently in the supermarket. What is it? Well, I believe it's called a Pokemon, but this one seems to have escaped. When my kids were growing up, Pokemon used to live inside one of these other things called a Game Boy. So I don't know, obviously they recently have managed to escape the virtual world into the physical world. So that gives me the idea for the format for the talk. Basically, I'm going to have a look at every technology, give you a very brief overview, have a look at what superpowers the technology has, things to watch out for. So this is a Pokemon, it's Charmander, it's a fire lizard. It has various superpowers, including evolving to a flying, fire-breathing lizard, but it doesn't like water, so you have to watch out for water. I'll also look at some use cases and maybe for some of the technologies, what's new and interesting on the horizon for them. So countdown, 30 minutes to go, or count up, actually. I'm doing it in the reverse order to a countdown. So number 1, Apache Cassandra. I've got pictures that hopefully illustrate the main idea behind each of these technologies. So this is an old photo from an office typing pool where you've got a lot of people typing on typewriters. So this is a fast writing mechanism. What is Cassandra? It's a NoSQL horizontally scalable key value database. Superpowers, well, fast writes. It's a wide column store. It has clustering columns which are good for hierarchical data modeling. For example, geospatial is one use case I've used it for, and it's got inbuilt multi-data center replication. So it's quite impressive. I have used it to build, for example, an anomaly detection system, which can process 19 billion anomaly checks a day. Cassandra was the main persistence mechanism that I used as part of that application. I've also used it to build a global low latency fintech application. This is one where you have to have redundancy within a geo region and low latency within that region as well. So that more or less comes free in Cassandra. Things to watch out for, well, the query language CQL is not SQL, so if you're familiar with SQL, you have to sort of unlearn a few things. It's got quite a different data model to a standard SQL database. You have to design it for reads, and denormalization of tables is, well, normal, in fact. Consistency is less than traditional SQL databases, and reads are slower. In the new version 5.0, vector search, like quite a lot of open source technologies, is now part of the technology as well, which opens up a whole lot of new use cases potentially. Second technology, how we're going? Yep. Apache Spark. The photo I've got here is a car factory assembly line, so it's like large scale building of things. What is it? It's a cluster batch stream processing system for analytics and machine learning. Superpowers, it's in memory and a strange square box, and is fast as a result. It's got good support for machine learning, and it can be used quite well with Cassandra using the wide columns as a feature store. It's really great for heavy transformation operations at scale. A use case, I haven't used it very much. It was actually the first technology I used when I joined Instacluster. I used it for machine learning of Cassandra monitoring data. So it used a whole bunch of technologies, including Spark streaming and MLlib and data frames, and it worked pretty well. Watch out for the fact that it needs lots of RAM, otherwise you get out of memory errors. Spark streaming is near real time using micro batching, so not quite as fast as, say, Kafka. Coming up in new versions, Spark Connect, and NetApp also runs Ocean for Apache Spark as well, which is quite a good way of running it on Kubernetes. Third technology, Apache Zeppelin. Again, this is one that I used a long time ago and haven't really used ever since. It's a web-based notebook for data exploration. It's an interactive style notebook, so you can type stuff in and see what's happening interactively, and it's got good support for Apache Spark. You have to watch out for the fact that it uses a lot of resources itself, and we also, at Instacluster, we don't directly support it with our products anymore, but what's new on the horizon is Jupyter Notebook. So this has really great Kafka and Cassandra integration. Technology 4, Apache Lucene. This is a bit like a librarian using an old-fashioned card catalog to look up various things about books. It's a fast, full-featured search engine. One of the superpowers it has is there is a Lucene plugin for Cassandra, which gives Cassandra enhanced search. It works as a Cassandra secondary index, and it supports vector search as well. I do need to watch out for performance. We currently support it at Instacluster, but I don't think that support will be continuing much into the future. The use case I found useful for was for geospatial anomaly detection. So as part of that system I mentioned before, I added the ability to look for anomalies within a certain geospatial area, and that seemed to work pretty well. Fifth technology is Apache Kafka. It's appropriate maybe, given that we're in a postal university, I think, that the metaphor I've got here for Kafka is a postal delivery service. It's a distributed pub-sub messaging system. It's really fast. It's highly distributed and horizontally scalable, available, and durable. It provides buffering of messages and message replay as well, which are quite useful and a bit different to standard messaging systems. My use cases included the very first one I built, a Christmas tree light simulation, which is a bit quirky. But the idea of the simulation gave me an idea for building a more realistic IoT logistic system involving the movement of goods using trucks and warehouses and checking for safety and environmental conditions and things. So it was a pretty complicated application. Built mainly with Kafka, although I did cheat and use the Guava event bus for the notification side as well. It's also part of the anomaly detection system that I've mentioned. Basically, the Kafka producers and consumers were all running as part of this application, talking to Cassandra at the back end. Things to watch out for: too many topics or petitions can impact throughput dramatically. In the newer versions, Kraft is replacing Zookeeper, and this gives faster metadata operations, and maybe we suspect even faster data workloads, which is a bit surprising. We weren't expecting that. Tiered storage is coming in a new version, and end-to-end client monitoring is something new that's coming soon as well. Number 6, Apache Kafka Streams. I think that guy survived going over Niagara Falls. I'm not sure. It might be before he went over. It's a stream processing API and client for Kafka. Basically, it reads from the Kafka cluster, does stuff, and then writes back to the Kafka cluster again. It's great for complex stateful stream processing operations, for example, joins over multiple topics, and also over time windows and multiple topics and state stores as well. I have used that a few times. As part of the IoT application, I built a Kafka Streams application that detected if trucks were about to be overloaded and stop things being put on if that was the case. Things to watch out for: complex stream topologies, which you get more or less as soon as you build anything realistic. There's a topology diagram on the right-hand side of it, a very simple application, which means that debugging can be tricky and performance is also a problem sometimes. There are some potential alternatives on the horizon, including other Apache projects like Apache Flink and Rising Wave, which I will actually mention. Number 7, Apache Kafka Connect. This is a bit like the telephone switchboard operators connecting calls. It's a Kafka API for streaming from source to sink systems via the Kafka cluster. So it gives you heterogeneous integration. It's code-free. You just configure the connectors and they work. And it's independently scalable as well. So the connectors run on independent Kafka Connect clusters, independent of the actual cluster, of the Kafka cluster itself. My use cases, well, I've used it to build, for example, a zero-code data pipeline. There's 2 different versions of more or less the same pipeline, getting open source, or open data from a REST API for tidal data, and then putting it into either OpenSearch or Postgres. Things to watch out for. Finding an open source connector that does what you want and works is actually non-trivial, so evaluating and selecting connectors is an important part of the process. Error handling doesn't necessarily come for free, and it will blow up depending on what has gone wrong, so you have to watch out for that. And source and sink system scalability is also something to watch out for. Debezium, which is a CDC system, uses, or in some cases uses, Kafka Connect as well. Technology 8 is Kafka Mirror Maker, version 2 in fact, and this is about Kafka replication. So it replicates Kafka topics between different clusters. It uses Kafka Connect, but reads and writes from and to different Kafka clusters. It has built-in topic renaming which prevents loops, and it supports complex bidirectional topologies. So there's lots of use cases for having multiple Kafka clusters. For example, if you're wanting to migrate systems, geographical distribution, to ensure low latency for IoT or edge sort of use cases, etc. Things to watch out for. Bidirectional flow requires 2 Kafka Connect clusters to be running. Duplicate events from overlapping topic subscriptions can be an issue, and use topic renaming and the default source cluster alias to prevent cycles and infinite topic creation, which is something you don't want to happen. For me, and it's not a new feature particularly, but one I hadn't realized had been introduced back in 2020, is the automated consumer offset sync across clusters, which at the time I thought was going to be really helpful, but I haven't tried it yet. Technology 9 is Apache Camel, another Apache project. You'll notice those popping up fairly regularly in the talk. It's an integration framework. It provides inbuilt components for connecting between different technologies, but as part of that there's a sub-project, the Apache Camel Kafka Connectors, which is a whole set of open source Kafka connectors. There is a large number of open source Kafka connectors available, about 172 or 179 depending how you count. And the clever thing is they're actually auto-generated from the Camel components, so they will always be there even for new components as they are added. Things to watch out for. Configuration, you need to read at least 3 different documents to find out how to configure the Camel Kafka components. Some connectors are both sources and sinks, depends on the configuration. And what's new is something called camelets in the new version, and sometimes camelets appear in the configuration as well. Technology 10, Kafka Parallel Consumer. It's a multi-threaded Kafka consumer. It's got the main superpower is being multi-threaded compared to the default single-threaded Kafka consumer, which gives you higher concurrency with less consumers and partitions. It's great for when you want low latency and high throughput, when you have slow consumers you can't speed up. And it's a replacement for a hack that I used using multiple pools to speed up my anomaly detection application. Watch out for the configuration. There are lots of different options compared to normal. The ordering mode can be partition, key, or unordered, which gives you increasing concurrency, but increasing chaos as well, potentially. You have to decide how many threads you'll run as well. And in the new version, there's apparently different commit modes as well. Technology 11 and 12, I'm combining another couple of Apache projects, Zookeeper and Curator. And yeah, it's a myth that everything is going to eat you in Australia in terms of animals. Koalas probably won't eat you, but everything else will. So It's a distributed system and coordination meta-management technology. It provides high consistency availability and performance, mainly on the read side though. And there's a lot of use cases both within and outside the Apache ecosystem. Until recently it was used in Kafka and Pulsar, etc. I used it to build my own sort of demo application of the dining philosophers problem, which is a well-known computer science sort of 101 distributed systems problem. It is quite low level, which is why Apache Curator is useful. It's a high-level Zookeeper client, and that provides sort of better abstractions for high-level concepts. It does have scalability limitations. It's quite slow for writes, and the maximum cluster size is basically 7 servers, so scalability is finite. In Kafka, Kraft has basically replaced it, and that gives you a lot faster and more scalable operations in Kafka. Kubernetes is my 13th technology. It's for automation of containerized applications. It's available on lots of public clouds. Pods are ephemeral and the main unit of concurrency, and it's very easy to scale applications just by having more or less pods. In some cases, too easy. You can get too many very quickly. I used it to run most of the application code for my anomaly detection system, so the Kafka producers and consumers were actually all running on Kubernetes. Watch out for pod and resource scaling. It's, as I mentioned, easy to create lots of pods. Sometimes there may be insufficient resources, or other times there may be too many resources, and your build may be surprising. Tuning applications can be tricky. You have to optimize the number of pods versus Kafka consumers, petitions, Cassandra database connections, etc. So keeping an eye on what's going on is really quite critical as you scale up applications running on Kubernetes. There's a Strimzy operator for Kafka, which allows you to run Kafka on Kubernetes available. 14 and 15, Prometheus and Grafana. More or less counting. Prometheus is for monitoring and alerting. Grafana is the graphing side of things. It provides instrumentation or agents to expose application metrics. There's lots of different types of metrics. I've used it for monitoring and scaling the anomaly detection application and my Kafka Connect data pipeline system. And internally, our monitoring API actually has a Prometheus version as well, so you can suck metrics out and use them in Prometheus and Grafana. You need a Prometheus server to run somewhere. Configuring Prometheus with Kubernetes can be tricky as well, and the operator is probably the easiest way of doing that. And also watch out for the recent change in the Grafana license, which may not suit your requirements. 16, 17, and 18, open tracing, open telemetry, and Jaeger and others. This gives you X-ray vision into your application. Open tracing is for end-to-end distributed tracing. It gives you end-to-end distributed application visibility into traces, which is everything that's going on from one end of your system to another, using spans, which gives you the insight into individual steps. It gives you a visualization of system topology and time spent in each part of the system, which is really useful. Originally, I used open tracing and Jaeger. This needed manual instrumentation in the code. However, recently open telemetry has become the new standard. This combines tracing metrics and logs. The instrumentation is mainly automatic, so you don't need to worry about it. And there are now lots of open source visualization tools, including things like Signos, Uptrace, and even OpenSearch, I believe. And potentially, I believe that open telemetry is going to be used in the new client monitoring kit for Kafka coming up as well. This is just a screenshot of Signos, one of the tools I mentioned, giving a service map for another application that I haven't talked about yet. 19, PostgreSQL. You may know that the Postgres icon or emblem is an elephant, so yeah, it's quite a powerful technology. It's a powerful SQL database. It's more than SQL. It started out life as an object database, and there's still some of those features, I think, in it as well. It's extensible, and it has really good support for JSON. So using something called JSONB and GIN indexes, it gives you efficient search, storage and search of JSON data types. Watch out for scalability, which is okay vertically, but it's got limited horizontal scalability. It can benefit from connection pooling. In the newer versions, there is a PG vector plugin, which gives you vector search. And we have done some internal benchmarking, and I think we now have available a version that runs on NetApp Azure files, which is significantly faster than alternative file systems. FerretDB is another technology I'll briefly mention, which is a MongoDB front end, which works with Postgres as the back end. Number 20, Apache Superset, another Apache project. It's a powerful data visualization tool. It reads from SQL data sources and has lots of visualization and graph types, including geospatial representations like maps and things. I used it for the visualization of title data from my Kafka Connect pipeline, and it was really easy to integrate it with PostgreSQL and JSONB. 21 and 22, there we go, yep, on time. OpenSearch and the OpenSearch dashboard. So this is a more scalable version of the librarian looking up the library catalogs. This is the one that was in the Library of Congress. It took up a whole city block underneath the library, apparently. It's the open source version of Elasticsearch. It's based on Lucene, which gives you powerful and scalable text searching. It's got support for ingestion, indexing, and searching of JSON documents. It's got an integrated dashboard for visualization and quite powerful computational linguistics support, which from a very long time ago, I remember studying some of these things like stemming, lemmatization, and other weird and wonderful things as well. I used it as the sync and visualization for my title data processing pipeline. And there's an example of some tied ranges over a period of time in that graph. Things to watch out for: the default mappings and ingestion may not work as you expect. For example, geospatial data using lat-longs needs custom mappings and ingest pipelines. Re-indexing seems to be a thing that happens all the time and is sort of annoying. With my Kafka Connect sync going into OpenSearch, I discovered some throughput issues, and you need the bulk API to have sufficiently high throughput out of Kafka into OpenSearch. And again, as we've noticed, it's got vector search, and a lot of technologies are now having that built in as well. 23 is Redis. It's a fast in-memory data structure server. It's got lots of data types. It's any sort of data type that you come across in computer science, it supports. It also, oddly enough, has a sort of fairly primitive pub-sub system that supports both connected and disconnected delivery, which is quite fast but probably not very scalable. It also supports client-side caching for ultra-low latency. For example, the Redis client supports that. Watch out, pipeline tuning impacts throughput. It's often used as a cache to reduce the load on back-end databases. So you may not get improved latency depending on what else is going on, but you probably will get a reduced load, and I have an example of that coming up. What's new? Version 7 has Redis functions, which are executed on the server, and unfortunately with 7.4 there's a license change as well, and I think there has been a fork now of Redis which has the original license. 24 is Uber's Cadence. This is a picture from a long time ago of a railway signal woman. So it's all about switching trains and things around so they go where you want them to. It's a scalable code as workflow engine. It gives you the ability to run quite complex workflows, which are basically sequenced, stateful, long-running or scheduled steps. It's scalable and reliable using event sourcing. So workflows are basically fail-proof. History is replayed until the point of failure and resumed transparently if something goes wrong. So this is actually the technology that Uber uses for their food delivery side of things. Here's my example, which is, I think, the one I talked about last year at FOSSASIA. It's a drone delivery application. It's quite an interesting example of a complex system with multiple workflows integrated with Kafka, which provides coordination across various activities and things. And it gives you the integration of fast and slow systems when you combine it with Kafka as well. So there's quite an interesting synergy of different technologies. It uses Apache Cassandra and OpenSearch as backends. So we provide it as a managed service because it is actually quite tricky to set up and run yourself. You have to watch out, code must be deterministic because it's replayed on failure. So there's a few things where you have to use special functions for non-deterministic operations. Some interesting potential use cases for scalable push notifications. Uber actually uses it to push out lots of notifications at certain times of day to customers. It's also potentially, I think, useful for running complex machine learning workflows as well. 25, Debesian. So this is a photo showing animals going from slow to fast, which is sort of what Debesian does. It's for change data capture. It captures slow database state changes and turns them into fast Kafka events. It uses Kafka, either Kafka Connect or some database-specific connectors, depending on the database technology. So you can use it to replicate databases of the same type or send events to different sync systems as well. I've used it a couple of times, experimentally, mainly with Cassandra and Postgres. Things to watch out for, the database-specific connectors need to be configured and in some cases run in the database, so you're going to need some support from your cloud database vendor at that point potentially. The Debesian change data format is actually quite complicated. The actual content depends on the source database. Schemas may be inline or just an ID, in which case you may need the Kafka schema registry as well. And the schemas can change as well, and that might be part of the data. It's tricky to find Kafka Connect sync connectors that actually work correctly with this technology. Some issues include duplicates and ordering of data, latency, scalability challenges. And yeah, if it includes a schema ID, then you will need a Kafka schema registry to interpret the schema. Last year, we actually made this available on our managed Cassandra, so it should all work relatively straightforwardly at that point. 26, Carapace. It's an open source Kafka schema registry. It adds schemas to normally schemaless Kafka. It supports multiple schema formats, and the Kafka cluster itself is not directly involved. Carapace enforces the schema checks for clients only, and the obvious use case is with Debesian. Watch out for auto versus manual schema registration. Manual is safer in production. Schema compatibility, compatibility modes, and evolution are all quite complicated, even for someone like me who's been doing computer science for a long time. So it's not a straightforward technology to use. 27, FerretDB. Is it a fish or is it a shark? It's an open source MongoDB proxy for PostgreSQL. It's compatible with MongoDB drivers on the front end. It's got pluggable backends, including PostgreSQL, and actually does use JSONB and the GIN index mechanism. And it has query pushdowns for efficiency and performance. So it's worth trying out if you're using Mongo or would like a different backend. Rising Wave. This is the one that I came across recently and used briefly. It's a stream processing database, also available as a service. It's really good for stateful stream processing, and it uses cloud-native storage. So it's a lot more scalable, perhaps, than Kafka Streams. It works with Apache Superset, so you can actually look at your streaming data using Superset, which is quite cool. My use case, well, this is the only thing that I've built with it. It's a Santa's Elves toy and box packing application. Basically, it uses streaming joins to match toys and boxes and make sure they're all put in the correct boxes. Things to watch out for, it's SQL compatible, which is not the same as a Kafka Streams DSL, so there is a difference there. Kafka keys are not propagated into it, and windowing has potentially different semantics as well. 29, we're almost there, TensorFlow. It's a neural network machine learning library. It supports incremental machine learning from potentially streaming Kafka data. And my use case was using it with my drone delivery system. with Kafka streams in the middle to produce features that TensorFlow is then doing machine learning over the top of. Things to watch out for, well, machine learning over streaming spatio-temporal data with concept drifts is actually quite tricky. There's a time-space bias, wild model accuracy oscillation, and you may need to really train and use multiple models concurrently for it to work. 30, well, I was going to put in something like Eclipse, which I use all the time, but actually invent your own, and I can talk about it next time. A couple of examples just quickly. Our customer-facing monitoring system is actually built on some of these technologies. We've got very large amounts of monitoring data being written into Cassandra. Originally we used Spark, which had a very high load on Cassandra. We recently replaced that with Kafka, Kafka streams, and Redis as a caching layer between the customer API requests and Cassandra. And that didn't actually improve the latency, but it significantly reduced the size of the Cassandra cluster that we needed. Finally, my drone delivery demo application, this was the initial version, but potentially you could supplement that with a couple of the other technologies that I mentioned. You could do something very similar to what we just saw, having Postgres at the back end, writing the data into Redis, and then using that as a cache for customers to be able to query their orders to see estimated time of arrival and delivery locations and things. And also internally, the drone operations people might be able to then use the same data and display it maybe on Apache Superset as well. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. There's my LinkedIn QR code. Check us out on instacluster.com. We've got a free trial of the technologies that we provide as a managed service, but the rest of them you'll have to bring your own and test them out. So thank you very much.
Sáng tạo không phải là đặc quyền của thiên tài hay người xuất chúng. Nó tồn tại trong mỗi con người, như một hạt giống tiềm ẩn, chờ đợi được sự kích thích và phát triển. Và chúng tôi, câu lạc bộ sáng tạo đa phương tiện Multimedia PTT, chính là môi trường để ươm mầm những hạt giống sáng tạo đó. Chúng tôi đồng hành và phát triển cùng nhau, với sự khát khao chinh phục chân trời sáng tạo này, mang đến những hình ảnh ấn tượng và những sản phẩm đột phá.
Your eyes are filled with stars.
mầm sự sáng tạo cho mỗi giới trẻ. Vinh dự được đồng hành cùng FOSSASIA Summit 2024, hội nghị thượng đỉnh về công nghệ thông tin và mã nguồn mở châu Á, mang đến những điều bùng nổ nhất trong mùa hè này. Đồng hành với chúng tôi để chờ đón những điều thú vị sắp tới.
So I'm here today to share with you how wonderful the world of the development is, since you have a secret weapon at your disposal when actually designing. So this will be a short talk, and then I'll have a short demo. I hope you enjoy demos. Do you enjoy demos, live demos on stage? Yeah. So praise to the demo goats for me. Thank you. So what is Penpot? Well, this is Penpot. Penpot is an open source design and prototyping tool meant for design and code collaboration. So this is a design tool that you can use whether you're a designer or a developer. It is beautiful, and it's a new project. It's only 3 years old, and we're here to present you the new release 2.0. Now, what is special about Penpot? Well, this is an open source design tool, and it's also an open source design tool that speaks the real code. What does this mean? It means that whatever you design on Penpot is already using SVG and CSS standards. We built a design tool based on SVG and CSS. So no matter what you design, it's going to be perfect code, one-to-one. So, of course, if something is open source, you get privacy, security, and customization out of the box. These are characteristics of Penpot. We use open standards like SVG and CSS. This means you have true ownership of whatever you do. No matter what you create, your design is going to be yours forever. No proprietary formats taking you hostage. And of course, you cannot build a design tool these days if it doesn't have and support real-time collaboration. So this is a web-based design tool that allows anyone to use Penpot on their own, but also invite new members to the team and work either asynchronously or real-time on a file. Now I'm here to, this is FOSSASIA, and I'm sure the majority of the audience is a developer or are in the tech world. I'm here to tell you that the missing ingredient in every design tool out there is understanding code. For unknown reasons, for decades, the design tools have considered that designers should live in a silo, not understanding code, and that developers should also live in a silo, not understanding design. And so we are experiencing massive pain when you have a product team that has both designers and developers, and they have this translation problem going back and forth when they are designing something that then needs to be in production, okay? So there is a concept that I want to introduce to you, which is the declarative design. Declarative design is bringing a style of programming into design where what is important is the intended outcome, not exactly how you get to the outcome. The same way a stop sign on the road tells you to stop by the time you arrive to the sign, but not exactly how you should do it. The same happens with declarative design. And we have declarative design in CSS. So we have a programming language known to everyone, a web standard that is actually supporting declarative design. So this is a wonderful news for developers, since they can use CSS and design at the same time. No need to learn complex arbitrary terminology. You just need to learn CSS, and you now are able to design. So in this case, you're seeing how Penpot is instantly transforming your design decisions into code. We'll see that in a demo. By the way, this is a grid CSS layout, one of the features that come with Penpot. So even though we are a young project, we are growing very fast, thanks to you, to the community. We have 600,000 users, 1 million projects, a ton of GitHub love, 32 languages, but I cannot find Vietnamese in the 32 languages, so I would like to ask the Vietnamese community to join us, and we would love to sponsor the Vietnamese translation on a super gorgeous design tool like this one. We need to have Vietnamese there. And that chart over there is showing the rate at which, on a weekly basis, new self-host instances are being deployed. So this is not cumulative, this is actually growth. The cumulative chart looks exponential. Because as you can imagine, you can use Penpot through a web browser on our SaaS server, but you can also deploy your own server and use it as you please. And this chart is showing that. Now, let me dive deep into two very interesting features that Penpot has for developers in particular, although they are enjoyed by designers as well. The first one I want to discuss is the components system. So the component system is a way to encapsulate reusable design elements so that you can have a main copy of it, the main element, and then duplicate it as many times as you want, so that by the time you change something on this main component, all the copies inherit that change. So it is very useful when you are designing something big and you want to make sure that just changing in this one main component, it has this ripple effect, and all the copies of that component have that change applied to themselves. But at the same time, what is very cool is that you can modify certain properties of those copies so that they stick to their own modifications and don't reflect changes on the main component if you don't want. So you can have kind of a hybrid copy component. Also, you can actually use a copy component and reset the main component based on some experiments that you did on that copy and say, I really like how this copy looks like, so this child is actually going to now say how the parent component should behave. And that, again, triggers a ripple effect to all the copies that were lying out there. This will sound familiar to anyone fluent in object-oriented programming, and this is something that design tools have been borrowing from the codeware already. So this should be native to developers. Here you can see a very simple example where we have one main component. I change it, and the moment I change it, all the copies reflect that change. That's a very, very silly example, but it's easy to see. We also have, when you have massive component systems, sometimes referred to as design systems, you sometimes want to see how a slot in a design will show different component choices. And for that, you want to swap very easily. Say, okay, I have this slot in this animated GIF. There is this section that could be whatever. And so what we're doing here is we're changing the component that should be there and see how it looks, because we want to make sure that whatever change we want to make onto the design is going to look great later on. So easy swapping between your choices and your components is also something very useful for developers. We will see this during the demo. So far, so good? Yeah? And this is now super wonderful. I mentioned declarative design. This is a very modern concept, and CSS actually was not able to provide us developers with declarative design until 2019. CSS has gone a long way. Of course, CSS is not the same CSS we had in the early noughts. In 2019, CSS got grid CSS layout. And we see why that is so important and why Penpot has decided to embrace CSS so much. So basically, CSS allows you to use two alignment options, Flexbox and Grid. Flex is about one-dimensional alignment, and Grid is about two-dimensional location or placement. So the idea is to combine both. You are allowed to make all sort of crazy compositions using flex and grid alone. But imagine what you can do when you combine both. If you go online and you look for Flexbox or grid tutorials, you'll see people saying it's not one or the other. It's not like flex is better than grid or grid is better than flex. It depends on what you're using or your intent. But you can also use both at the same time. So this is really powerful. Unfortunately, until now, the only way you would get you to enjoy all this would be just coding it manually. But Penpot allows you to visually design it with all this built in. So yeah, this is just, we have tutorials on Penpot that through some games teach you how to use flex and grid, okay? And this is a very fun one with the frog. So here you can see how CSS grid layout brings these two-dimensional layout capabilities to CSS. Again, it's reacting instantly the same time we are changing the design. Demo time, okay. Very good, very good. We're on time. By the way, I use Penpot also to make my presentation, so if anyone, you can use Penpot for many things. I'm really in love with presentations which have components and all that. Anyway, just, so I'm going to try and do this because I need really to look at the screen at this time. Is it okay? Is it sounding, yeah? Sound is great, thank you. Well, by the way, here is a very, this is an example of a design system. You see all those components here listed. This is the design system for Penpot, so we are going to release it. If you want to use this, it's fine. I'm going to use dark mode, but actually Penpot supports light and dark mode, so I think it looks, on the screen looks better like this. So let's start with a very simple example. I have a table. Tables are very nice design elements, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this. I'm going to replicate this table. How you would do it? I would just create a board like this. I'm going to select, I'm going to just set up the same dimensions. So I know them by heart by now. So yeah, that's, that looks right. Let me just align this so it looks symmetrical. And I want to add a grid layout here. So it's, I have a flower here hiding the layout option. Grid layout. I apply grid layout to this board, but I need more columns. So I just go to edit. There's many ways you can do that. I'm going to use several options here in the interface. And I'm going to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 columns. 2 rows is fine. I'm noticing a padding here. This is not exactly how this looks like, so let me just put some 20 pixels padding. But you've noticed that this, this grid here, if I edit it, and I look at how it looks, is not exactly the same dimension. So this is 50 pixels, and then we have FR dimensions. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to edit the grid. In this case, I'm going to use this directly here, and this directly. So since this is a quick demo, I don't have much time. I'm just going to copy something like this. Copy here. Also this one with the text. Now I'm going to duplicate this. Penpot already understands the row concept, so it's giving me the automatic option here. So yeah, like this. In this case, let me just remove this. Now I'm going to go and create a color in my components. So I know FOSSASIA is D4, like this. And so yeah, FOSSASIA, that's a very nice red. And so yeah, I'm going to do this. see here we have this color, and I'm going to pick this, okay? And I don't like how that looks like in terms of the color, so let's do like this. And then to make this super fast, I just will copy this again. We'll go to the first element here, copy it. It's not correctly aligned. I know you see that, and it's very painful to the eye. So that's easy because I can just say center, and that's it. And last thing I'm going to do is just change that color. I have some colors here. Actually, you could use pictures if you want instead of colors, like something like this. But I'm going to actually pick this one. And again, this is not looking great in terms of the text. So again, something like this. Okay? Last is this one. So this is a bento grid. I'm going to center this. And this is a grid layout that has flex layout actually also as elements. So this is, I'm going to put this here. You see it's not automatically filling the space. No problem. I can come here and select that option. And automatically adjust to this space given. And remember when I said we are able to swap components. So that's what I'm going to do. Sorry, it's a bit like this. So here I can change the components. Let me see where here. So I can choose different components showing different places. Like this is beautiful. I also have this picture we took. I'll leave it like this. Okay. So this is actually responsive. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just selecting that. I'm going to go to inspect. I'm going to code. And I have here CSS and SVG and HTML. You pick your poison, I guess. Okay, okay. Thank you. I didn't ask for that, so very appreciated. So, so yeah, you can go just SVG and you will get this instant, but you can also have the CSS and HTML. Again, quick demo. I'm just going to copy all the code, so HTML and CSS at once. And I'm going to go here where I have a simple index.html file. I'm going to do this, save it, and this is just a browser. And here you are. This is exactly the same design we just created. So let me just. So this was the quick talk and demo that I wanted to show. We're very, very proud of being part of this event, FOSSASIA. We are a small sponsor, you know, bottom right. Honored to be here speaking on the stage. And please, let's have Vietnamese as one of the 30+ languages on Penpot. And I leave you with a gorgeous screenshot, the same way we found Hanoi and Vietnam to be a beautiful city and a country. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pablo. So next one on stage, I would like to introduce Mr. Kautzi. He wants to bring the topic about the different approaches to growing and sustaining developer ecosystem.
Test. Hi, everyone. Right, good afternoon. I'm QZ. I hail from AngelHack, and it's been my 6th FOSS Asia actually. I remember coming here back in 2018, back at the Lifelong Learning Institute in Singapore, so I'm glad. This is my first time in Hanoi. It's been beautiful. The weather is so much better than Singapore. So today I'm going to be talking about different approaches to growing and sustaining developer ecosystems. I think that this is somewhat relevant to the open source community. Ultimately, it's developers that keep our software alive. And what we do at AngelHack is that we engage and grow different developer ecosystems. I think some of you might have heard of AngelHack for quite a few years ago. Back in 2016 and 2018, we used to do a lot of hackathons around the world. Some of them were in Saigon. We had some folks here that were mentors at AngelHack. And on behalf of AngelHack, I'd like to thank you for participating all those years ago. So, a bit about AngelHack. Oh, it's a bit laggy. Okay. So, what do we do? As the name suggests, we do hackathons. And over the years, we have done quite a lot of hackathons. And thousands of projects have come out of them. And so I think our experience running different hackathons across the world has given us quite an interesting view of this paradigm of engaging developers. In our vocabulary, we call them developer activations. And today I'm going to share a bit about different taxonomies of hackathons. Each of them have different outcomes. And as a student, or as a community leader, or as a developer relations team member, you might want to consider designing your hackathons for the kinds of outcomes that you want. So, here's a quick taxonomy of hackathons, right? In my opinion, there are 3 general types of hackathons. And as a student, you will kind of move through different types of hackathons. I personally have been to all 3 different types, and I think we'll start with the first one. So the goal of an education type hackathon is to lower the barrier of entry to the product or to the ecosystem that you would like to engage. And generally what we do is that, we are Asian, right? Like, competition is in our blood. But that is kind of against the goals of an education hackathon. What we have done over the years is that we would create multiple bounties so that more people can win, so that more people are motivated to participate and to try the different developer tools and products that people would like you to use during the hackathon. So as a student, when you go for hackathons and you're here to learn, right, I know it can be very daunting, can be very scary, like, oh, this is like my first time going for a hackathon. I only learned to code in Python or JavaScript like 4 weeks ago. I'm not sure if I'm going to win, right? We've all been through these anxieties. And so education type hackathons are meant to be friendly. And when you are getting started, these are the best types. So what do you see in these education hackathons, right? Primarily, you will notice that there are many, many different small prize pools, right? There might even be educational bounties where you get rewarded for trying some of the developer tools that you get to do. There's a lot of somewhat hand-holding in a sense where there might be more kind of like protracted onboarding processes where you might be onboarded slowly to figure out like, oh, say you know how to do this programming language and you're a designer, but you might not know like UX or something, right? Or you might have to figure out how to do some kind of team matching. All of these are actually supposed to help you, right? And these processes are actually helping teams form. And this is kind of what makes education hackathons very fun. You get to meet new people, you get to work on new things, and hey, you might just win something, right? So that's the first archetype, right? An education hackathon. The second type is what I call social hackathons. And what's interesting about them is that, well, the truth is, working in tech, especially after COVID, can be somewhat lonely, right? Like, we are very used to working in distributed teams, or even decentralized teams, where you might only see your team lead like once a week for the stand-up or something, right? And that is even worse when you look at developers across the entire ecosystem. That can be very difficult for different communities that want to sustain their developer ecosystems, especially in open source projects, right? Social hackathons, such as the one that occurred at FOSSASIA, I think 2 weeks ago, it's a good way to bring together developers across the space. More senior developers can play the role of being a mentor, right? And you might be mentored by incredible people that you feel just amazed to be basking in the limelight with. And for new people, right, this is a good chance for you to meet other developers that you might form a lifelong friendship with. And so I think social hackathons are generally a little better for people that have like some kind of working experience or who have gone to hackathons before. That being said, some people are just naturally social, right? And so if you come across a hackathon where there are many like side events, where there are lots of like social mixers, that's a good time to meet people. Generally, these hackathons tend to be paired together with conferences. So it's a really good chance for you to also go for the conference, meet new people, and the best way to make friends is to build something together, right? To bring out that tinkerer in you. So that's social hackathons. In my experience at AngelHack, we have done something called recruitment hackathons. As this name suggests, its goal is to find talent. A lot of projects actually do this as part of like succession planning. It's actually really difficult to figure out like, firstly, culture fit and also skill fit, right? And so what's the best way to figure out whether a developer or a group of developers might be perfect for your project? Well, I mean, just getting them to build something tends to be the best method. And so recruitment hackathons are something that we have done for quite a few clients, like especially banks. They tend to use this as part of their recruitment process. As a student, actually it's a really good opportunity for you to practice. I mean, ultimately, you got to go for coding interviews, right? But there's no better way of getting a foot in the door by showing a project that you have built using the software stack that your target bank or your target team or company is already using, right? So that's actually a really good chance for you to get a foot in the door. So here is our overall taxonomy of hackathons. But I'd like you to take a pause and think about it a little differently, right? Over the last 2 days or 3 days when I've been talking to students and people, I think generally you kind of see hackathons as a competition, right? It's like a chance for you to compete and win, right? And to try and like do well and to stand out amongst the crowd. Maybe take the chance to think about it more of as a learning experience, something that is a part of your developer journey. And so I think a better way to look at hackathons is to see them as community touch points, right? Now, it's important, and I think for us as a generation that has survived and gone through COVID, we truly appreciate being there in person. Physical community interactions are things that I think previously we didn't appreciate as much, but after COVID, we have realized that it's something extremely important, and I'd like to encourage even students to even try running your own hackathons, right? It might seem daunting as a kind of like an event organization perspective, but actually it can be pretty fun, right? It's like hosting a party where you get food and you get drinks and you hang out and you build something together, right? As AngelHack, I think that's kind of our bread and butter. We hosted hackathons in really interesting places with really interesting projects and companies. I remember years ago we did one in Malaysia at the floor of one of the largest shopping malls, right? Like, that's really interesting. You know, you get to put developers at the forefront. That's something that we absolutely love to do. So, from a project perspective, let me change the frame a bit. What does this taxonomy do for you, right? I think when you look at these three things, they help you achieve different outcomes, especially from a developer relations perspective. The first one being an education hackathon. The goal is to really help to lower the barrier of entry, especially for new technologies, right? There is a time trade-off, opportunity cost, right? You could be doing literally anything else than learning something new, and that can be challenging, right? Especially for new and upcoming technologies where the tooling might be broken or just like half done, right? All that can be exhausting, education hackathons are really good. It's two ways, right? You get to learn about the shortcomings in your product, something that your developers can focus on, that can help you with your product roadmap, your feature roadmap. For a user perspective, right, it's a chance for you to put yourself at the forefront, right, and use new cutting-edge tools, right? Like 2 weeks ago, we did a hackathon with OpenAI's credits, right? Now, that was something that I didn't expect myself to have a chance to do, but the attendees of the hackathon were absolutely amazed for this opportunity to use the OpenAI API to build something, right? The second one is for social hackathons. I think for that, from a project perspective, you do need to maintain some kind of momentum for your project. It's kind of like this old phrase about love, right? Like a moving candle or a moving flame won't go out, right? So I think that's kind of like a good analogy for this. A community needs love, right? And you need to make sure that you see each other and you have constant interaction. If not, it's going to be very difficult to be top of mind. For the last one, it's a bit more obvious. In this day and age, talent is very hard to find. It's very hard to figure out what kinds of modalities to engage talent in a way that stands out beyond just some kind of LinkedIn post or job board. And hackathons are actually a pretty good way for doing this. It's kind of like a fun way for recruitment and a good chance for you to figure out your own recruitment processes even. So for us, at AngelHack, we've come up with different modalities to engage the community. The first one is something we call Learn and Earn, where projects can put up bounties or through boot camps, and people like students or developers can come in and do things, and they get rewarded for trying something new. Right, for social hackathons, this is a bit more straightforward. We do hacker houses and typical physical hackathons. For recruitment, for that it's a bit more focused and a bit more like venture-ish. And so we do things like incubators and accelerators. Now I'm going to take the chance to share some old case studies that we did at AngelHack. It's been a while, but I think they're still somewhat relevant. So recently, I think the DevCon team has been at FOSSASIA today, so I wanted to pull up this example where we worked together with Google Cloud to teach people how to run Ethereum validator nodes, right? And basically, 397 people participated in trying this out. What's a similar parallel, right? If you have new hardware, for example, that you want people to use, this is one modality for you to try. Next. At AngelHack, we work together with the Singapore government to help out during COVID. And so what we did was to work closely with the industry to figure out what are some industry needs and then match them with like learning needs. And we had a really high placement rate through this kind of like semi-boot camp that we ran. Now, like I mentioned about new technologies, we work with IBM to get people to try different quantum technologies. This is something that is super cutting edge, right? And to have 700 people try out quantum computing for the first time, I can guarantee you in 6 years, right, I will be able to see some people come up to me at conferences and be like, this was the first time I used quantum computing and now I'm a researcher. And that's the kind of impact that you can create in the space. Lastly, this is something that I find quite interesting. We work together with NASA to run a hackathon with the open source rover challenge to figure out how we could help with the different Mars rovers. So I have 30 seconds left, and I know that the next speaker is somebody that is highly anticipated. So I'm going to quickly move on to the last piece, which is actually what we're here for. The last thing is that actually AngelHack is hosting an event at Ho Chi Minh City on the 27th to 28th of April. And I'd like to encourage people to sign up and come for the event because this is going to be a large education and social hackathon. And for that, we have very graciously put up a $180,000 prize pool for hackers. And so I'm just going to leave a QR code here for as long as I can, but please scan it and sign up for the hackathon. This one has a discount code, so it's free for you. But if you want a shot at winning the $180,000 prize pool, please scan it, and I will leave it as long as I can, okay? So thank you so much. I'm QZ. You can see me nearby, and I'll be around, okay? Thank you.
I'm Roger Dingledine from the Tor project, and I'm going to talk very briefly today about the privacy, free software, open source software that we've been working on. So Tor is a nonprofit in the US. Tor is free software. It's open source software. One of the fun parts about Tor is the community of developers around the world who are working on it. So every city that I go to has a university research group with professors who are trying to research Tor and developers and activists. We have some number of users, maybe 2 million, maybe 8 million daily users. So it's either quite a few or not that many. And we're part of some other fun ecosystems. What's up? No, I'm good. Thank you. And we're part of some other fun ecosystems like the Internet Freedom World, the free software open source world, the censorship resistance research world, other research pieces. So most people use Tor browser when they're using Tor. It's a free software open source version of Firefox with a bunch of privacy bugs fixed in it. And I'll talk more about Tor browser in a bit. But first, it's a security talk. Let's think about threat models. Let's think about what adversaries we're worried about. Where can the attacker be? What sort of dangers are we considering? So we've got our user, Alice, over here. And Alice is trying to browse the web to some website, Bob. And they're going through the Tor anonymity network made up of 7,000 relays around the world. Where can the attacker be? Maybe the attacker is watching Alice's local network. Maybe the attacker is watching the Wi-Fi in this room. Maybe the attacker is watching the internet connection for this university. Maybe it's the monopoly telco in the country that you're in. So that's one piece that we worry about. Or maybe the attacker is watching the middle of the network. Maybe it's AT&T or Deutsche Telekom or some backbone provider that works hard to watch a lot of the internet. Or maybe the attacker is watching the website you're going to. Maybe they're watching wikileaks.org to make a list of all the whistleblowers that are connecting to it in order to track down who might be publishing documents. So if the attacker's in all of those places, it's challenging to protect you. One of the important points here, encryption is good. You should use encryption when you're talking to websites, but even when you're using encryption, somebody watching the encrypted traffic, they can't break the traffic, but they still get to learn who you're talking to, when you're talking to them, how much you're talking, and that metadata information is what people use to track who's talking to who. So intelligence agencies don't break encryption. They build the social graph of who's talking to who, and then they learn who's in the middle, and then they attack them from there. So here's a picture of the guy running the NSA 10 years ago, and he has this terrible quote, "We kill people based on metadata." So this is an ordinary thing that the US government and many other governments do to track communications metadata in order to learn who's talking to who and who is interesting to attack. And we're part of a bigger problem these days, which is the whole end-to-end encryption debate, where here's a news story from 4 years ago where the US government is asking Facebook to not actually provide safety for their users because the US government wants to be able to spy as well as Facebook spying on the users of Facebook. And fast forward 4 more years, here's one from a couple of months ago where the British government is asking Facebook not to add encryption to their services so that people can continue to spy on users. So this is a big challenge that continues to go back and forth, where users want actual safety and the companies want to give them actual safety, but governments are scared that the users will have too much safety. Okay, so I actually only use the word anonymity when I'm talking to academic researchers. When I'm talking to my parents, I tell them I'm working on a privacy system. Anonymity, I don't know, maybe that's bad, but privacy is an important value. Everybody should agree with privacy. But then when I'm talking to Google and Walmart and companies, I work on network security or communication security, because companies don't need privacy. They've already decided it's not worthwhile. They don't know what anonymity is, but yes, they want to look at their competitor's website and understand what it's doing, and they want communication security when they're doing it. And then when I'm talking to governments and militaries, I work on traffic analysis resistant communication networks. And that's kind of a weird phrase, but the key is all of these security properties are the same underlying technology. It's just about how you phrase it for the group that you're talking to. If you go to the US government and say, I have a privacy tool, they don't need that. They don't think privacy is important. But if you give them a tool where they can send a diplomat to Israel, and the person in Israel can check her email without identifying her affiliation, that's the sort of thing that that's why governments want privacy on the internet also. And then there's the fourth category, which is the reachability side. There are some places in the world where you can't reach bbc.com because it's blocked, and a lot of people use Tor around the world to get around internet censorship. So the goal here is to have all of these users in the same network so that they can blend together. You can't build an anonymity system that's only for the FBI, because then the fact that they're using it tells you why they're using it. And also you can't build a privacy system that's for cancer survivors, because the fact that you installed it tells people why you're using it. So you need journalists and bloggers and Facebook users and governments and law enforcement all using the same system for everybody to be safe. Okay, how do you actually build one of these? The simple answer is you have some centralized proxy somewhere, some VPN service, and all of the users route their traffic through that central service. And that's great, but what if that central service turns out to not be honest? So it starts off with, we won't look at any of your traffic. Okay, actually we do look at all of your traffic. We promise not to write down any of your traffic. Okay, actually we do log everything, but we promise we won't tell anybody else what you do. So the problem there is the centralization. The problem is it's privacy by policy. You have no way to learn if they're following through with that or not. So the goal of Tor is to distribute the trust over 3 relays, and the first relay knows that you're using Tor, but they don't know what you're doing. The last relay knows somebody is talking to that website, but they don't know who. So there's no point in the Tor network, there's no place in the Tor network that knows both who the users are and what they're doing. And that means it's privacy by design rather than privacy by promise. That means that that there's no place to break into. You can't send a subpoena, you can't compromise the system. There's no location that knows the information. And there are some recent examples. There was one case just a few weeks ago where apparently law enforcement was trying to catch some bad guy on the internet, and they sent him a YouTube URL, and then they asked YouTube for the IP address of everybody who has ever watched that video. And I don't know if YouTube answered them or not, but that's pretty scary. There's a lot of data out there about what you do, and you have to rely on the companies right now to decide whether to keep you safe. And the goal of Tor is you're in control of whether you end up safe. Another more recent example, there was a person in the state of Nebraska in the United States, and that person was thinking about getting an abortion, and she talked to her mother on Facebook about getting an abortion, and now she's being prosecuted in Nebraska for having an abortion, and Facebook turned over all of that data to law enforcement. So here's another case where maybe you don't want to trust a big company to decide whether you should be safe. Okay, so there are a bunch of different pieces of what security means. One piece of it is, where are all the relays around the world? The more relays we have in the more locations around the world, the safer Tor gets. The other answer is diversity of types of users. I talked earlier about we can't all have cancer survivors. We can't all have only law enforcement. So another great example there are a lot of people in Iran who use Tor, and they don't use it because they're political dissidents. They use it because Iran blocked Facebook. So they're trying to get their pictures of kittens just like everybody does on the internet, and they need to use Tor in order to get around that blocking to be ordinary internet people. And that ordinariness is a security property. You need millions of normal users in order for it to not be weird that you install Tor. Okay, Tor browser is the way that most people use Tor. I talked earlier about IP address level anonymity. There's a second piece, which is the application level anonymity, which is dealing with cookies and JavaScript and what fonts you have installed and so on. So there's a popular mode called incognito mode in Chrome or private browsing mode in Firefox, and most users misunderstand what private browsing mode does. Private browsing mode protects somebody looking at your hard drive after you finish browsing. It doesn't protect you against the website you go to or your ISP or the advertising companies. So here's a fun webcomic or a sad webcomic that I found a while ago where we've got the big Chrome guy saying, which website would you like to see? And we've got the shy user saying, I don't want you to know. And then the big Chrome guy puts up a sock puppet and says, will you tell the hand? And then the user's like, oh, good, you're incognito. Yes, I totally will. But it's still Chrome that you're telling. There's no real difference there. So transparency is another key topic here. Yes, Tor is open source. It's free software. But also, that's not enough. We also need to give you the design documents and the specifications and all the materials so that you can read through all of it. And we want to be as transparent and open as we can. The goal there is to be publicly identified and to build a community of people around the world who value Tor and participate in Tor, help run relays, help explain the importance of privacy to the world. And there's always somebody who says, oh, haha, the privacy people are talking about transparency. That's so silly. And it's not a contradiction. Privacy is about choice. Privacy is about choosing who gets to learn your information. So we choose to be public and transparent in order to build a stronger community of people who understand why privacy is important. And we've had some high-profile users over the years. Ed Snowden used Tor to be safe while he was doing his whistleblowing. And the key point here is it gave him the choice of when to go public and when to identify himself, because before that, Tor protected who he was. And so the key thing to think about there are good people who use Tor, there are bad people who use Tor. This is the same as using automobiles or any other technology. But it's not just you have to accept the good with the bad. People who already have a lot of power because they control governments or militaries, they don't need Tor as much as vulnerable people like journalists or LGBTQ or other groups like that who are already vulnerable and don't have the power. So I look at this not as it's a two-edged sword, you have to accept both. I look at this as you need to think about the architecture for your system and make sure that you're building it to help the types of people that you want to help. So it really is a social choice where the decentralized design empowers individuals more than it empowers criminals or governments or militaries or large groups that have other options. So when you're building your tools, whether it's Tor browser or AI or other free software, think about the power structures. Are you reinforcing the existing power structures where all the power goes to the middle and you're making some company rich and you're giving them all the data? Or are you building a system where the users end up with the power and they end up in control of who learns about them? Okay, and Tor is not perfect. There are ways that I'm happy to talk about later, but it's better than all of the other systems out there that are centralized designs. And one last thought, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF.org, is running a campaign to get more people around the world running Tor relays at universities. So if you are at a university, they will send you one of these amazing shiny coins that you can come up and look at later. And also, you'll be helping to make the Tor network stronger and safer and more diverse. So if you're connected to a university, please help us grow the Tor community in order to help everybody around the world be safer. And with that, I think I am pretty much out of time. So please spread the word about privacy. Please help us in the privacy research world. Please volunteer running a relay at your university or whatever your company is. And I'm happy to chat more afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, so great. I think we have time for a question. Any questions here? Yes.
Roger, do you work with the Citizen Lab in Canada?
Yes, so Citizen Lab is a nonprofit in Toronto that does a bunch of internet freedom work to understand where problems are happening around the world in terms of users being attacked or companies breaking laws or governments breaking laws. And yes, they're part of our broader internet freedom community, and we definitely talk to them about spyware issues, and they share a lot of our human rights values where they want users around the world to be able to be safe.
There's one more question here.
So you tell me that Tor can keep you privacy, right? So my question is, Tor can somehow attack me, like, for example, Facebook tell the user like you are private, though, but some agent work in Facebook can steal and sell my information for some bad guys. So Tor can somehow take my information and do something like that?
No. Tor is just a browser, and Tor puts you in control of your information. But that said, if you log into Facebook or Tor and you tell them who you are and you upload a picture of people in this room, you're still sending that information to Facebook. So it makes sense to log into Facebook over Tor because there's no reason Facebook should know you're in Vietnam today. And they want to know that it's you, but they shouldn't need to know where you are. And there's no reason why somebody watching the internet here should know that you're going to Facebook. What business is it of theirs? You should have privacy from people watching what you're doing. And that means that you get to choose. You can go to Facebook and tell them who you are, or you can go to Facebook and not tell them who you are. You're in control of that choice. But yes, if you do tell them who you are, I can't stop them from using the data that you give them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is wrapping up this session. Roger, thank you very much for coming, and I want to know, that was your first time at the FOSSASIA Summit, even though we know each other, I don't know, like for many years, 10 years at least, right? Yep. How did you like it, and will you come back?
Yeah, it's a great conference with great people. I'm excited to be in Vietnam and talking to all of you and a new community out there. So please help us with spreading the word about the importance of privacy and safety and security on the internet, and I would be excited to come back.
Cool. What do you think, maybe a workshop track dedicated to privacy and security next time? Would that be a good idea?
Yeah, we need to think through how best to reach the most people, because a lot of people here are students who haven't thought much about security and privacy yet. So how do we reach the excited experts who want to ask me detailed questions about Tor, but how do we also explain to people who didn't understand half of my slides what we're talking about? So I don't know how to get the right balance of that, but we should try.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you very much, and big round of applause for Roger.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a short break because the other people are also coming in from the other tracks, and there will be the closing in a few minutes. So see you then. We have some exciting facts for you. Yes, Phuc also has a short announcement. Ah, yeah. In the meantime, you can enjoy a slideshow that we are starting now from the event. See some activities that happened here because we can't all be in all areas. So let's see what nice photos come up in the meantime, and after that we'll start the closing while everyone's working in the meantime. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So here we are. Yeah. So, FOSSASIA Summit 2024 in Hanoi. Here we are. I don't know what to say, Phuc. It was, for me, it was mind-blowing. How was it for you?
I also don't know what to say. Everything's so overwhelmed.
Yeah, so it was overwhelming, and we get into some details, and we also want to know from you, how was it from you? But before that, we want to go here. No, the other direction. No. Ah, yeah, the translation. So
Yeah.
translation was one cool thing. What was that about?
So let me explain a little bit. During the conference, you see that in every room that you enter, there is a QR code. This is the live translation service. So you just need to scan the QR code and you can choose the language that you want to follow. Yeah, so and I have been receiving a lot of positive feedback for this software. So thank you for the team that helped us to set up the translation system. Yeah. So again, cho mấy bạn mà đang ngồi trong phòng á, thì có thể scan để mà dịch từ tiếng Anh sang tiếng Việt trên máy điện thoại của các bạn.
I'm actually interested here in this room. How many people tried it out? Anyone tried it out? Yeah? Okay. Ah, quite a few. Okay, cool. So, yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down? Yeah, only thumbs up. Awesome, yeah, good feedback, yeah. Cool, so then what else happened here? Of course, we had organizers. Who were the organizers from Phuc?
Yeah, so of course we have here Học viện Công nghệ Bưu chính Viễn thông. And we are very happy, it's our pleasure to have here the president of the Post and Telecommunication Institute of Technology, Mr. Đặng Hoài Bắc. Yeah.
Okay, then who are the other organizers?
So we have Vietnam Internet Association.
Yeah.
And we have câu lạc bộ phần mềm FOSSA, and I have the chairman of FOSSA here, Mr. Ngô Hồng Sơn.
Okay, so and then we had our great supporters here. Who are the supporters? Open Euler, there was a big booth here in front, a lot of people came, many sessions, we learned a lot. Then we had the platinum sponsor, DEFCON 7. Who's still here from DEFCON? I just saw Andre somewhere. Okay, they keep a low profile, but they were great as well. And then we had Arbitrum, with a lot of workshops on the first day with sponsors as well. Big round of applause for our platinum sponsors. And our gold sponsors. Hardware is a big topic. Open hardware, that's what we want. There was a whole track on open hardware, and that was supported by ARM. So that was great. Then we had Google here, a long-term partner, for example, in the Google Summer of Code with FOSSASIA as well. We have MySQL here. MySQL always doing a lot of workshops, and OPN Tech. So big round of applause for our sponsors. And of course, PG Day. So after many years for a dedicated Postgres track, we're very happy to run PG Day. At first we thought it's one day. In the end, it was even 2 days. So that was great, and that was supported by Fujitsu and AWS. And as more and more partners came on board, we also had then Chainlink coming on board who said, we want to run an online hackathon. The great thing that we saw today, it was an online hackathon, but a team from this university won one of the main prizes. So that was a huge surprise. We had them on stage today. That was real fun. So thank you very much to the sponsors, but thank you very much to PTIT again and all the students. Basically, big round of applause for everyone, please.
So như các bạn đã biết là cái hackathon diễn ra trong 2 ngày trước sự kiện, là có hơn 300 người đăng ký và có tổng cộng là 46 submissions, mà trong đó một cái đội mà giành giải thưởng là cái đội tại trường BITT. So chúng tôi rất là vui về chuyện này.
And of course, a lot of silver sponsors, which you also saw with all the booths. There was a lot of exchange, and yeah, they were great. So thanks to all our partners, finally, the silver sponsors. Okay, and of course our media partners. Who's Vietnamese here? Who has watched the news? Did you see FOSSASIA? Please raise your hand if you've seen FOSSASIA on the news. Yeah? Cool. Okay, so we were really present on the news, and of course this also contributed to an amazing number of attendees here at the event, and we'll learn about this in a moment. So thanks to the media and of course to the education partners, we actually had buses coming here. There are some universities 100 kilometers away. They sent the bus here for students to participate. This is something we never experienced, and it was a big surprise. So education partners are just great, and I think we can definitely expand on this in future. So, Phuc, tell us the numbers here. First slide.
Yeah, so the number of speakers, 206. Number of sessions, 215. But I think the next slide is what people are waiting for. So, you want to explain a bit? Explain. So, registration. So we have until this morning, people to sign up to join the conference, and we have 5,378 unique registration. And on site, with the people who actually came here to the conference over the past 3 days, 5,055. So we expected 3,000, and we were talking, okay, we are not so sure we can reach that number, but now we're about 2,000 over our expectation. Maybe I explain a little bit on how we calculate the numbers. Okay. So basically, people come in for the first day, they check in, and they come again for the second day. We also count them as coming again. So therefore, you see the number below. So that's how we calculate the people on site.
So for people who are interested in a more detailed breakdown, we'll definitely get that together after the event, and we'll share it on our blog and social media.
We actually have the breakdown here.
Okay, so that's the breakdown so far. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is the breakdown per day. Yeah, the first day over 2,000. The second day 1,833, and the last day a little bit low, but it's not as low. Yeah, 1,146 people.
Okay, cool. Okay, where did the people come from?
Yeah, 50 different countries. Did you see the green color on the left-hand side?
On the right.
What is this?
On the right for them.
Can you see from the screen? Why? Why do we have the green color? Exactly. Please show the next slide, Mario. So we have 92% of the participants are Vietnamese, and about 7.3% are visitors from overseas. On site at the venue.
Okay, so this is data from segment fault. So as you know, we streamed online through many different channels, and we actually also had streams to China. So there are different channels in China, through segment fault. They have the different video platforms. So altogether, we had a lot of online viewers, and I didn't look at the numbers, but the first day Mr. Waiter came to me and said, wow, this one session, there were already 20,000 viewers. So I got the numbers later, and I couldn't believe them. So we have 271 and 355 views alone through online viewers. Okay, what's this?
And this is the breakdown of online viewers for different days and tracks.
Okay, cool. Quite interesting. So, which one are the lean? Okay, opening, I can understand. Opening on each day. Okay, cool. So, at least you always get like over 5,000 with a hardware track. Okay, the Chinese people may be saying, okay, we know about hardware, I don't know. Interesting, cool. Like definitely have to analyze that after the event more. Where can people find this information?
It will be uploaded on our website. So when you go to the event website, go to schedule, we will upload all the slides of the speaker according to their sessions on the website.
So also those slides here now.
And
then.
also those slides.
Okay, cool.
During the closing.
So that's it? Yeah? What now?
So I would like to invite Mr. Đỗ Trung Anh on stage. He is the Deputy Head of the Department of Science and Technology and International Cooperation of Post and Telecommunication Institute of Technology. He will represent the host to say a few words to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone, very guest speaker here. So, dear experts, distinguished guests, and participants, 3 days of FOSSASIA 2024 at Post Telecommunications Institute of Technology PTIT, SOS through virtual access from around the world, have thus marked as a great success and important event for technology community globally, as you see on the statistic before. On behalf of PTIT, I would like to express my warmest thanks to organizers, participants, and exhibitors for their valuable contributions and participants to the summit. As a nation's leading university managed by the Ministry of Information and Communications, PTIT, we has been a great pride for us to host all of you as a reputable event. And as a unique ICT university has 2 biggest campuses in the 2 biggest cities in Vietnam, that is in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh. Now we are very proud of that. We are in the heart of innovation that the summit has been taken with more than 5,000 participants. They are discussing about cloud, AI, robotics, database, semiconductors, and other fields of technologies. There has been many interesting and useful presentations that bring many good experience and lessons to all of us, and we are grateful to have all of you here. I hope FOSSASIA Summit will become the most important bridge contributing to helping Vietnam's businesses access the most advanced technology solutions, helping Vietnamese programmers, including experts, lecturers, and students of PTIT, to improve the expertise, knowledge, and skills to compete with international friends. I hope you have good memories of PTIT and will keep them through on your journeys. Let us stay connected, share our experience, and support one another in our coming time. I wish you good luck and thank you. And now, to express our thanks to FOSSASIA organizations, and I would like to introduce the president of PTIT, Associate Professor Đặng Hoài Bắc, to come to the stage and to give a special gift to the organizer. Please, Mr. Brebner. as a FOSSASIA, I also have a special gift to PCIT.
Is one of the open source hardware project that what FOSSASIA have been working on. So the software itself is open source. It's run via Bluetooth, and we opening the firmware at the moment. Yeah. So cái patch này á, thì các bạn thấy là đây là một cái project của FOSSASIA do cái team của tụi mình á, là tự phát triển. Thì cái phần mềm chạy trên này là open source, có thể chuyển cái chữ via từ Bluetooth, và sắp tới này tụi mình sẽ mở luôn cái firmware nằm ở trong cái patch này. Rồi mục tiêu trong thời gian tới á, là sẽ sản xuất cái hardware cũng là open source luôn. Cái này là sản phẩm của FOSSASIA.
Okay, so Phuc, I think that was the official part. Thank you very much. And yeah, we always have a kind of after part where we get feedback from the team, from everyone who has organized it. Of course, like Phuc and I, we are a lot in front, but actually we're just a small part, a small component of that whole FOSSASIA Summit, but it's not the only event. We have a lot of events of FOSSASIA organization. Actually, we have our own event system. There's a team running the server, sometimes sweating at night, how to keep it up. And yeah, a lot of things are going on in the back, and we would like to hear from the team, from the speakers, from the participants. What's your feedback? What was great? Where do you think we all can improve? Yeah, questions like that. So let us go around and share your impressions, share your ideas, please. I saw you nodding, Roland. So I know you have some feedback.
Honestly, nothing prepared at this moment. As some of you know, I've perhaps enjoyed the local food too much this trip, and so I missed part of the conference. The venue has been great. I think it's a really well set up for running the event that we're running. With a minor issue about the microphone receivers, the AV gear in all the rooms has been great. It's run flawlessly. I'm sure there's something I'm going to think of, but I can't think what. I'm going to have to pass at this moment. I have something concrete, I think, but I can't think what it is. Come back to me.
Yeah, I want to say that this EventJ platforms is very nice, and I want to congratulate FOSSASIA for the platform. I think whoever is running this are doing a great job, and yeah, I hope you guys continue the development and bring it to more other events that need open source platforms to run their own event.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, would you like to share something? You're also maybe the first time at the FOSSASIA Summit. How was it for you?
It was a great experience. It was my first time in Asia, not only Asia FOSS, and it was great to see the community here. How you are guys also part of the open source movement and open source community, and being welcoming people from everywhere. So it was great, everything. Thank you.
So I have an anecdote which I think expresses the true value of this event very well. So the student came up to our booth, right, and she started asking us about her career. And I asked her, well, what do you want to do? She said, maybe I want to do testing. So you seem very focused on testing. She said, yes, well, my relative told me that I should get into it. She does testing. I said, okay, well, maybe you should give it a try. So step this way. So I pulled her across and I looked around me to see which project leader I could see immediately in front of me, and lo and behold, Roger was standing there. Brought her along to Roger. Hey, you need testers? He said, yes. I'm like, okay, well, here you go, try testing. And if it works out for you, well, there's a career ahead. And if it doesn't work out, well, you can do something else. Well, that's the beauty of it, right? You're connecting people, ideas, the amount of things I've learned both in the halls, in the rooms as well as the hallway track is immense. I mean, this is probably the place where you can learn the most per second of any event in Southeast Asia, certainly. So thank you, team. It was great. Shameless plug, we are considering Open Tech Summit in Thailand in November, so tentatively keep your dates open, please. Thank you.
So I want to hear from one of the volunteers of FOSSASIA. So let's see, who should I pick? You can say in Vietnamese, don't worry. Em đi. Em nữ này. Trang phải không Trang? Có bạn nào muốn nói? Okay. Vậy em your impression of being FOSSASIA volunteer, how do you feel?
So hello everyone. So actually I'm not something like work in the technology career, something like that. But during the FOSSASIA today, I have a lot of experience because I participate in a lot, maybe 2 teams, so that I have a lot of, I can study a lot from this, not only, for my majors, but also something, I know too much about technologies, maybe. And maybe FOSSASIA is one of the most fantastic event that I haven't never, participated in something. And I hope that, I really hope that to see everyone again in the FOSSASIA next year. So thank you.
So actually, on behalf of the organizer and the entire FOSSASIA team, I would like to thank you, our amazing volunteers who are sitting here today. Cảm ơn các em tình nguyện viên nha. Excellent job. Thank you very much. Yeah. Chị chỉ muốn dịch xem một chút xíu thôi. Hồi nãy thì bạn này em Em Hà này, em Hà, thông cảm với chị tại vì mình có tới 150 bạn tình nguyện viên tại trường lận nên chị đâu nhớ được hết 150 bạn đâu. Thì Hà có nói rồi đó là đây là có cái sự kiện rất là bổ ích và rất là vui được tham gia sự kiện. Cái anh Mishari hồi nãy ảnh nói đó là ảnh từ bên Thái qua thì ảnh đã đi tham gia FOSSASIA rất là nhiều năm rồi. Ảnh có nói một câu mà chị muốn nói lại bằng tiếng Việt. Ảnh nói là chưa có sự kiện nào ở châu Á mà trên 1 giây có thể học được nhiều thứ bằng FOSSASIA. Cái này là người khác nói không phải chị nói nên chị muốn nhấn mạnh như vậy là tới đây thì rất hy vọng là các bạn cũng thấy được có nhiều điều mới mẻ và có thể học hỏi được thêm nhiều thứ mới tại sự kiện này.
Hi everyone, I'm Ted Liu from China's open source alliance called Kaiyuan She. Then actually we broadcast live for this FOSSASIA as well. I think the minimum number would be tens of thousands of watchers besides Segment FOSS. And Segment FOSS is also our sister organization. Anyway, I want to invite all the speakers and attendees here come to China for the China Open Source Conference in October this year in Beijing. And that's our 10th annual open source conference. And we learned so much from FOSSASIA. And the FOSSASIA Summit is probably the only event I want to attend every year. I enjoyed it, and I learned so much fun. I learned so much from it, and I have had so much fun from it. Thank you, Hong. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Wen Thảo. And thank you for adding to the amazing number that we have. So Wen Thảo just mentioned that the streaming number that you see online only from one platform. We also streaming on Kaiyuan She, and it's like 10,000 per check per day. I'm not sure, I need to get the number from you to update the report. So ngoài cái chuyện mà hồi nãy các bạn thấy á, gần 300.000 viewers online chỉ là một platform thôi, tại mình chưa có tổng hợp được hết tất cả các platform. Thì anh này á, là một tổ chức ở bên Trung Quốc, anh vừa mới nói là anh cũng là partner của bên mình và có stream trên một cái platform nữa. Thì cái tổng cái số người view đó sẽ viết báo cáo sau sự kiện.
Sorry, I have some feedback here. Is it okay? It's a good feedback. I like the lightning talk. We hold it in Taiwan's COSCOP and also in China's open source conference. And all the students, they're very shy, probably shyer than people here, right? But we do it like a very well-managed fashion, and the student, they can rush to speak something that really lively and so funny, then they enjoy the atmosphere. So I think that's something that we can do that every year. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Harish. I'm very thankful for the translation. I don't need it for myself, but when I did try it, and I think it was doing a very good job, good enough for me, because sometimes I just want to get the subtitles in English. Even though the person is speaking, sometimes you don't hear it. So the translation to me was doing a very, very good job. So I don't know how well it was translating into Chinese and into Vietnamese. I hope it was correct. But the English part was good enough for me. So thank you very much. I think that is excellent stuff that you have done, and I think this is the best thing I've ever seen for something like this in real time. I didn't realize initially that it was in real time. So thank you very much. Good job.
Do I have Chi Sang in the room? So he actually, the person who set up, who helped us with the setup, he's not here. But anyway, thank you, Chi Sang and the team. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And Chi Sang make it together with actually our team from Net Nam, who's sitting behind doing all the streaming. Mr. Ha, is he still here? Yeah, thank you very much. It could have been possible without you for the translation. Thank you. Yeah, and talking about the networking streaming team, I need to mention a very important person, yeah, to have it with all the technician behind, Mr. Hung, the lead technician from BTIT. Not only during 3 days of the event, like weeks before the preparation, he's been super supportive to us. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your feedback or any comments in the room?
Hey, Phuc from Thailand here. I just wanted to say like FOSSASIA is really inspiring, like for a lot of people in my home country as well. Like I remember last year, FOSSASIA Singapore, there are so many things that we don't know or we don't have in Thailand, like silicon or hardware. And when I share that photo with my friend is like, whoa, is that a thing? Like I want to pursue a career in this. So I would like to say thank you so much to the organizer. Like a lot of these little moments, I think it's like extremely important for a lot of us, especially like in our country when the job opportunity doesn't look like there's much possibility. But when you're in conference like this, it's suddenly like everything's possible. Like I know organizing these events are really tough and really difficult. So really thank you to everyone who put your like a lot of hours into this. Trust me, it's been super helpful. Thank you.
Cái anh này á, là từ bên Thái qua, là ảnh có từ bên Thái Lan, ảnh có tới từ năm rồi bên Singapore rồi, và ảnh thấy là học được rất nhiều thứ để chia sẻ lại với cộng đồng của ảnh. Mình có thêm một cái nói là hôm nay á, những cái bạn mà tham gia nghe rồi có cái điền vô 20 phiên để mà nhận cái Lucky Draw đó, thì tụi mình đổi ý không Lucky Draw nữa, mà tất cả những bạn mà fill được 20 cái phiên á, sẽ đều nhận cái hardware của FOSSASIA hết, tất cả. Thì lát nữa các bạn sẽ đem tờ giấy đó ra quầy ở phía sau để nhận.
The internationals are wondering what you just said and why you get so big applause. Yes. So who was wondering? We actually okay. There were two approaches here to the event. I think like we want to be a tech event, we want to be an education event, but of course we want to have people give a T-shirt, have fun, right? Some food and so on. I don't know, like the first day I saw a lot of people at the Ethereum booth because they were giving out T-shirts for very easy task, right? So I talked to them and they're like, I said like, this is not just a free gimmick event. We actually want to be a tech event. And they said, yeah, how to do it? So I shared with them our approach, and I think they will also do it from here on. What was our approach, Phuc? Please explain. Okay, I explain. So the thing is, like, we had a paper, and on this paper, basically, people had to write down which session they went to, which room they went to, and what time they went to this session and room. And then they just received a stamp at the entrance. So kind of stamp rally. Yeah, I mean, of course, it doesn't come from anywhere. Like, I had this idea of the hack, like the hackerspace stamp, yeah, that you could get everywhere. So we just did the same. And yeah, there were even people who achieved 20 stamps.
Yeah.
And what Phuc just shared was like everyone who got 20 stamps will get a LED badge, and yeah, people are happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I think there are more opportunities to share. We have a questionnaire that we will send out tonight, and yeah, people can give feedback. I think there are always things to improve, so we want to hear from you, not just what was great. Of course, we love to hear what was great, but we also want to hear where we can improve. The team wants to have that feedback. We can share this also with other organizers in the spirit of open source and sharing, and it's always helpful to learn how things can become better. So, with that said, I think we are really at the end. Yeah. The question is, yeah, I mean, like what we usually do in Singapore is like, in the end, everyone's on stage, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't dare to ask because it's so late at the day. I don't know if people will anticipate and would be willing to come on stage.
I think like who wants to come should come. So I would say it's the team, our team that has been there for many years. Please come on stage.
FOSSASIA team.
The FOSSASIA team that was there many years. Yes, Wong, come on. Yes, of course.
Marco, Tari, Norbert.
Yeah, come on
Roland,
stage. We
where's
want to
Mr.
see
Roland?
the faces. Yes, please come. Phuc,
Tony, please
Yes.
come. Chi Xiang.
come on. Guys, come on
Leslie,
stage so you can see the
Misari, François,
people behind.
please.
Mr. Waitard. Ah, okay.
Mr.
Yes.
Witat, where is Leslie?
Where's Leslie?
Tuyết, Hưng. Hưng đâu rồi? Lê Hưng. Lê Hưng có, ok. Để. Chị Hương.
Yeah, Guruswamy. Yeah, you need to be on stage, of course. You're organizing the events with us. Arish, please come.
So, do I
So-
miss anyone else? The MC. Our MC.
Our MCs.
Our
Who were the
MC.
MCs?
MC. The moderators.
The moderators, please come on stage.
He was the MC. Yeah, come on stage. Our MC.
Ah, okay, great. Cool.
Quỳnh còn trong đây không các bạn? Quỳnh, Đăng. Yeah, okay, so we're doing one person.
Okay, so we take one photo first. So this is a core team, and of course, some people are out there still working on stuff. But let's take one photo. And the great thing in Vietnam, they always come up with music in the background, right? Hello from Vietnam, everyone. Hello from Vietnam. Thank you very much. And now, we're in the. We would love to have the volunteers. So please, volunteers. I hope next time you'll also become full members. Please come on stage as well, and let's take a last big photo.
Tất
The
cả các
volunteers,
bạn
please.
volunteer, tình nguyện viên. Lên đi các bạn.
Yes, please come. I go behind. Forward. Yes. Okay, great. And Phuc, I think most important part of this is also that we found a fantastic host. Please invite the host to come to stage. Yeah. We need to do the
Okay, so now we will take a picture and take a one shot of video. Okay, take a picture first. Everyone see the camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now take a shot of video. So everyone waving for me, waving and saying FOSSASIA. Okay, are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, go! Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay, I think that's it. What was our last message? Our last message was everyone can be a contributor, everyone can be part of it. You saw how many people were on stage. So take that message home, do it with your own project, do it with your own community, with your companies. And we have one last surprise for you. I know it's a surprise that you want. Yes. Are we ready? Are we ready for the last surprise, the absolute last surprise? Are we ready? Are we ready for the last surprise? Are you ready for the last surprise? What? Are you ready for the last surprise? Okay, okay, we are ready. So I'm getting you guys ready. Are you ready? Okay, so we're ready. Okay, I leave the stage to the last surprise.
So hi everyone. My name is Minh Đức, and so I'm very glad to be here. And that is the surprise, and the song is Speechless. So please listen and enjoy this song. Okay, thank you.
Here comes a wave meant to wash me away, a tide that is taking me under. Swallowing sand with nothing to say, my voice drowned out in the thunder. But I won't cry, and I won't start to crumble. Whenever they try to shut me or cut me down, I won't be silenced. You can keep me quiet, won't tremble when you try. All I know is I won't go spaceless. 'Cause I will when they try to suffocate me. Don't you underestimate me, 'cause I know that I won't go speechless. Writing in stone every rule, every word, centuries old and unbending. Stay in your place, better seen and not heard, but now that story is ending. 'Cause I cannot stop to crumble. So come on and try to shut me or cut me down. I won't be silenced. You can keep me quiet, won't tremble when you try it. All I know is I won't go speechless, speechless. Let the storm in. I cannot be broken. No, I won't live unspoken, 'cause I know that I won't go speechless. I want just lay me down and die. I will take this broken ring and watch me burn across the sky. Hear the echo saying I won't be silent. Though you wanna see me tremble when you try, all I know is I won't go speechless, speechless. 'Cause I break when they try to suffocate me. Don't you underestimate me? 'Cause I know that I won't go speechless. All I know is I won't go speechless, speechless.
Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn bạn Minh Đức nha. Thank you very much. So, yes, so this is the end of the FOSSASIA Summit 2024. See you next year, 2025. So, mấy bạn nào mà có được 20 cái phiên có thể lên đây để nhận. Hả? Hả?
So where can they pick up the stick now?
We have it here, so I can-